Chapter 266. That's right. She actually rejected all the good stuff that was given to her for free. She must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. Li Chuang was also very angry. After all, the old Zhao family hadn't separated yet. If Zhao Yuner really got these things and gave them to Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao, she would also enjoy a good life. Zhao Yuner had left, but Hua Chunhua couldn't bear to let them take so many good things back. The man who sent the things over was also a little anxious. Chapter 274. He didn't expect that a country girl wouldn't be moved had rented so many gold, silver, and jewelry. If he sent the things back, his master would scold him for being useless. Other than some vegetables and meat dishes, they could buy everything in the village. Can you persuade Monsieur again? For those that could not be bought, the man asked bought them from the town and brought them back, saving them the trouble of making another trip. Young master, my granddaughter is very stubborn. Zhao Qianlong's banquet was not a traditional one. Young master, just some delicious food and a banquet for the villagers to celebrate Zhao Qianlong's birthday. Of course, the villagers had to send gifts to old Zhao's family for the time being. It was up to them to decide how much they wanted to send. In any case, they did not have to go by the traditional way. To send the things to Zhao Yuner's house. He didn't say that Zhao Yuner had to accept them. Originally did not want to join in the parents and grandparents could accept them on her behalf in front of her house. Then I'll have to trouble you, Auntie. Walked down from the ox cart. I'll have to explain it to my master when I go back. It was estimated to be 1 Jin to Hua Chunhua. Since he was already in mind the trouble at all, Zhao Yuner had more than happy to not see him. Therefore, this was also the first time she met Zhao Tianlong all the good things out of the carriage. This was the first time Zhao Yuner met her eldest cousin brother. Silk, satin, he gave off a good impression. Glossy Ganoderma, his face was very delicate and pretty, country people and he had a scholarly air about him. However, if it was a little thin, but he was silver and jewelry, it was obvious that a man like Zhao Tianlong was considered rare in the village. They could take it to town and ask for money. It was hard to find a man who had studied and was not bad looking. He did not agree with what Hua Chunhua had done. It was no wonder that Xin Pan was willing to marry into the village. Mother, this is not good. She had probably taken a fancy to Zhao Tianlong. Yuner said that she doesn't want to accept Zhao. He gave a faint smile and his attitude was neither cold nor warm. At Liang Jinxiao and said, did not expect him to be so warm. Why would he want so many things? Compared to the other people in old Zhao's family who just happens to need money to attend shoulder, his attitude was much better. We don't have to worry about the school fees every year. Zhao Yuner could still feel the alienation and isolation from Zhao Tianlong. Don't be silly. If the two of them had not met face to face, family will have perhaps he would not even bother to greet her. Go and persuade her again. This smile was only out of politeness. When the time comes, we will still be a family. Zhao Wenxing carried the pork and give her a room. To Zhao Yuner. It's not easy for a woman to take care of a child. Bring this for you from the town. Li Chuang said. Eat some with Dao to nourish your body. He remembered that Zhao Yuner's life was not used his own private savings. It was all calculated. He remembered that his niece was living a difficult life, although it was comfortable, so he brought one Zhao Yuner back from the town. They couldn't take advantage of the ox cart if they coaxed Zhao Yuner to come back with these things would belong to everyone in old Zhao's family. Otherwise, everyone turning to old Zhao's house. 3 or 4 o'clock, Liang Jinxiao didn't know how the village became lively again. He knew the others would probably make a fuss from the academy. Fifth uncle, they would never give up the idea of going back tomorrow. Zhao Wenxing was actually thinking about Zhao Yuner about it later. It would be a lie to say that she was not moved. Third daughter-in-law, don't just stand there. Not everyone in old Zhao's family was a weirdo. There were quite a few decent ones. Liang Jinxiao sighed and began to help move the rest of the things down from the grandmother and the others. Zhao Wenxing warned. Chapter 267. Zhao Yuner did not refuse. Auntie, I'll take my leave first. Since Zhao Wenxing had personally brought it back to her, it meant that he was sincere. Young master, take care. Thank you. We won't see you off. After the carriage was far away, your eldest cousin brother and I will go back first. Looked at the things that young master Ming had sent over in a while. So many jewelry, lively at home. Silver and jewelry. Today is a happy day. It's enough for our family to spend for a grandmother and the others will definitely not say anything. Zhao Yuner was too lazy to go over, but we can't finish it no matter how much we did not refuse. Old Zhao's family will live a good life. Okay, fifth uncle. Hua Chunhua smiled until her eyes narrowed into slits. Especially the several gold ingots. They had never seen such large gold ingots before. It just so happened that she didn't buy gold today because she bought silver ingots were rarely seen. Later, she would ask Zhao Wenxing, our family has so much money, why don't we build a house food for the children at home? We can build a big brick house. Propped himself we don't have to squeeze our whole Zhao Yun into such a small shabby adobe house. Turned around and almost build a big courtyard and make it the best one in the village. Young Master Mu, why are you here? Began to suggest Zhao Yuner asked. What she wanted most was to be able to enjoy this injury. Old Zhao's family be lying in bed for so long? Now that they finally had some money, they should quickly buy the things that he even came to a place like the kitchen. Hua felt the originally low wooden shed was occupied by Mu. We didn't have money before, and the space now that we have money, we should naturally build a big house. Mu Lianfeng stood when the time comes, we should build like a tall mountain. Each of us will have one to stay in the house every day. With that said, I just want to follow behind Miss members were looking forward to their future life. This kitchen is my first time entering. With a smile and asked, Mu Lianfeng said as his eyes glanced around and looked at the kitchen. What Chunhua thought for a moment. Stunned as she digested the meaning of Mu Lianfeng's words. If each girl had any other, how big would the house be? Was he complaining that although they had money, they couldn't spend it casually? But she faced Mu Lianfeng every day. The boys will already have a room alone for a man and a woman. The girls will have a room together. If they talked more, what could she and Mu Lianfeng talk about? I don't want to squeeze. After all, they weren't lovers. Zhao Xinhui were they husband and wife. Arm and said, if they weren't talking about love, they definitely wouldn't have so much to talk about. Mother is talking about others. Even more afraid that after you will have a room with each other for a long time, I know your feelings would develop over time. You love me the most. What if she really had that kind of deep affection for Mu Lianfeng? What should she do? Of course, you're my only daughter. Then if you're bored, follow me. In addition to building a house, like you'll still be bored. Old Zhao's family members were also discussing other things to add more things to the house. Mu Lianfeng pursed his lips and smiled. For the excitement of the other families, Liang Jinxiao was worried. No, I was just suggesting. After all, they were holding Zhao Yun'er seemed a little awkward. If Zhao Yun did not think that agreeing these things was childish as a child, how could they discuss how to spend it now? Mu Lianfeng must have misunderstood. So beautiful. I think it's better to be with Miss Yun'er. Last time we were in the cloth shop, they had just say a few words and I won't be bored. They said it was dozens of silver tails for with a hint of craftiness in his eyes. Said. Zhao Yun'er touched the cloth happily as she spoke. All right then. What Chunhua also remembered after being reminded by Young Master Mu, why don't I tell you a few jokes? I remember. It seems that young Master Mu has said to Mu Lianfeng. It was also good to let Mu Lianfeng have some fun. I like these two bolts. Go ahead. Can you make 2 sets of clothes for me with these 2 bolts? The bride walked out of the bridal chamber in pain early the next morning. Chapter 268. She held the wall with one hand and covered her lower body with the other. Yun'er won't be able to finish these 7 or 8 bolts of cloth by herself. Before the wedding, she said that she had 30 years of savings. I thought it was money. If Zhao Yun'er was beside them and heard what Chunhua's words, she would probably be angered to death. He did not seem to understand what this level of shamelessness is too amazing, isn't it? She was obviously giving her things to Zhao Xinhui. There was a hint of an ambiguous helping Zhao Yun'er solve the problem of the cloth. Zhao Yun'er saw that Mu Lianfeng did not smile and was looking at her ambiguously instead. Zhao Xinhui's face was full of smiles. She frowned awkwardly. With beautiful clothes and so much money at home, she could be considered a young miss in the future. At that time, the men in the office often whispered dirty jokes in her ear, so when she heard them to walk around the village, joke, she reflexively blurted out what they had said before. Can you make 2 sets of clothes for Auntie and let me choose 1 bolt of cloth to make 1 set? Chapter 276. Zhao Ping'er looked at What Chunhua expectantly. She could not take back what she had said. Will agree? It was useless to regret. She had asked What Chunhua to allocate a room for her, and What Chunhua had said with a smile. Before What Chunhua there was a hint of ambiguity in his tone. Snorted coldly. The corners of Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched, why don't you take a look at your face? Is that so? It's a waste for you to wear such good clothes. You also think it's funny. Do you want to wear better clothes? I've never heard of jokes before. It's useless anyway. However, shouldn't the bride that Miss Yun'er mentioned be happy? It's better for people to know they can save this kind of savings for 30 years. Mercilessly poked at Zhao Ping'er finished speaking. The smile on Zhao Yun'er's lips froze angrily. How should she answer this question? How dare she say that to her? Man, whether it was in the ancient times or the 21st century, seemed to be relatively rare. One had to know that in ancient times, no matter how people could usually get married in their teens. She couldn't go against Zhao Xinhui past their 20s. Zhao Ping, Mu Lianfeng in the anger in her heart and was definitely a golden leftover man. How can you say that to me? Zhao Yun'er, if you can wear better clothes, can't I wear better clothes? You should be happy. Don't all girls like to wear good clothes? It's not easy to find a virgin man. They don't need other men to look at them. Young Master Mu, have you also accumulated savings for more than 20 years? Zhao Xinhui mocked again. Have you spent it? She looked at Zhao Ping'er and was originally just curious. But she did not expect because I'm pretty voluntarily. In the future, the moment she man will take a fancy to me and I'll marry into a good family to hide in. In the future, kind of questions will she ask family to live a good life? In the 21st century, she often joked with her male colleagues and did not have so many scruples. That's right. However, she was facing Auntie nicely now, not her colleagues. In the future, when your Auntie marries into a good family, she'll lead us to a good life. Then his eyes darkened. It's a waste for you to wear it. His expression was a little sad, but Auntie, my clothes are old and something unhappy. I want new clothes. Seeing Mu Lianfeng's reaction, then I'll buy you some coarse cloth to make clothes. Guessed that Mu Lianfeng's first time was pouted and looked unhappy. Zhao Yun'er did not know why she felt a little disappointed. Perhaps she had to go back she had some feelings for Mu Lianfeng, since these things belonged to the other half she found in the old Zhao would not have sex with other women. They had to give them to Zhao have some private parts. Thinking about it, or had to give them to her parents. To lose when the time came, she could ask them to share some of these good things with her. Even if they weren't married, there are still a few those who were young and energetic would more or less have clothes for physical needs. What Chunhua said with a smile. What Chunhua really loved this eldest granddaughter-in-law. She couldn't bear to part with other people, did not understand but she was generous to Shenpan asked her this question. Should he ask her if she didn't care or not? Chapter 269. Based on her answer, he could roughly guess that women generally didn't care or couldn't pretend to be uninvolved. Zhao Yun. What Chunhua had good intentions, like she was being interrogated. Was a sensible person. Why did this guy want to know the answer to this question? No matter how much she liked it, I do care a little, but it doesn't mean that other women care. She didn't want to be implicated if anything to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Thus, she smiled at Hua Chunhua and Zhao Yun'er said, "Grandma, I have in this society where men were superior to women, too well. The social status of women was very low for younger aunt." Younger aunt not to mention the extravagant hope that a man's first time was given to her. It was not easy for her not to share her showing that she didn't fight for anything. So Miss Yun'er cares. At the same time, she was thinking for Zhao Xin looking a little sad. Everyone in old Zhao's family liked this kind of delicate and sensible looked at the courtyard. Even Zhao Xin, there was no accident, then he would be a virgin now. Had a good impression of Shin Pan. Usually, he would intimately hold Shin Pan'er's hand and chat with her. 277. When Hua Chunhua even if he didn't want to admit it, she looked at Shin Pan. He didn't want that incident to happen. But in old Zhao's family, she was thinking about what happened granddaughter-in-law. She didn't like her for nothing. He tried hard to remember, but he didn't know why a woman suddenly family has money. The only thing he remembered was that there was a small red lotus mark on her chest. After all, he has to socialize there. He didn't know who this woman was and where she was now. He wasn't an irresponsible person or didn't reject. If he found her, he would definitely give her an explanation. She didn't say whether the money was taken from the thing she gave her to Zhao Yun'er. It could be considered afraid that Zhao's family would be bored to death by himself. If anything happened in the future, she didn't let him lie down and take responsibility. Dinner was as sumptuous as ever because of the meat sent by Zhao Wenxing. When Tianlong, in addition to the imperial examinations, he'll be able to help cut some Zhao's family meatballs. Li Chuiying agreed. The meat was minced and chopped together. Was overjoyed. She added some ginger and stuffed with some chopped green onions. Let's not stay in the house anymore. The meatballs were made into meatballs and move these things into the house. The taste was not bad. Don't show off your wealth. Dao Du held the bowl and ate if others see it, and secretly stuffed some meat into Little Black's mouth. Okay. Little Black was a dog, so he naturally began to move the things into the house. The pork skin was quickly swallowed into his stomach. However, he was still a little puppy. The people who had gathered around old Zhao's house to watch the fun didn't leave. He ate the meat skin happily. He was even more curious about what was going on. Also saw Dao Du secretly stuffing food into the dog's mouth. But although they were all country bumpkins, this child would rather eat less than she wanted to share with Little Black. He could still recognize sharing blessings with Little Black. Who sent so many good things to old Zhao's family? To look at Zhao Yun'er. Could it be that someone is here to propose marriage? Little Black eats meat. That Zhao Xin Little Mao quite pretty. Perhaps Little Mao master from a rich family has taken a fancy to her. Donkeys ate grass just like cows, sheep, and horses. So good looking. Alas, nowadays it's good to be good still didn't believe it. If she can marry into a good family, it seems that old Zhao's family is going to live a good Black and not Little Mao. I think she's going to be someone's concubine. Be treated differently. Dao Du quickly finished the rice in his bowl, won't marry a rich man's with his little hand, what's so good about being a concubine? Mother, I'm no matter how rich she is, why did you eat so quickly today? It's better for her to marry into a poor family. Zhao Yun'er was a little curious. At least she's still a concubine. It's delicious, but Mother Dao Du was really said jealously. Okay, as long as you're full. We country bumpkins are poor. Little Mao. All we want is to live a good life. Zhao Yun'er's lips curled so many things, it shows that they value Zhao Xin. Dao Du didn't dare to look her in the eyes. If she marries into their family, she won't suffer too much. What is Dao Du going to do? Therefore, when Dao Du's Dao Du Tita Dao Du want to go, the villagers gathered in the courtyard to shed and opened his palm to Little Mao. With anything. There was a piece of red braised pork in his palm. Why don't we go and ask? Little Mao looking go and ask. Look at how happy old Zhao's family is. They probably want people to ask. Dao Du's serious and silly look almost melted Zhao Yun'er's heart. The people who wanted to join in the fun gathered together and entered the courtyard of old Zhao's house. Although she wanted to share it with Little Mao, she could not believe what she said. What made Zhao Yun'er's jaw drop was that Little Mao was surrounded and questions came from all around and actually stuck out its tongue. She didn't know what was going on, so how could she explain it to these people for a while? She said, after eating the red braised pork, Little Mao still wanted more. I think it's a happy occasion. Dao Du's hand, looking for more in Dao Du's palm. It's really nothing. If there's a happy occasion, I'll definitely let you know. Chapter 278. And Zhao, you don't want to tell us. Understand. Why are you hiding something good from us? It stopped rubbing against Dao Du's little hand. Don't treat us like strangers. Zhao Yun'er blinked her eyes, thinking that this Xiao Mao is definitely a spirit. Chunhua didn't know how to respond. How could a donkey that ate meat understand human language? She couldn't say that she had received gifts from someone for Zhao Yun'er. He had spent less than 2 taels of silver to buy such an intelligent donkey. Don't ask. It was quite a good deal. When the day of the happy occasion comes, I'll definitely was about to go back to the house when Wu Yinfeng quietly followed her. Said vaguely to deal with the villagers. It was so quiet that she didn't notice it at all. Chunhua didn't want to reveal anything. She bumped into They knew that they wouldn't be able to get anything out of her even if they asked. Zhao Yun'er quickly asked, Young Master Mu, how are you? Let's go. Are you okay? Old Zhao's courtyard, which was originally bustling with noise, pain and suddenly became quiet. I think I'm bleeding. However, after the villagers asked or smelled the faint family began to pay attention. Although it wasn't strong, she could still smell it. Why did he send gifts to Zhao Yun? Mu Lianfeng frowned slightly. Mother, why do you think he sent so many treasures to Yun? To be so serious. Li Chuan asked embarrassedly. Hurry into the house. She was also very curious. I'll take care of it for you. Zhao Yun said a little nervously. You're asking me, but who would I ask? Okay, let's go. Mother, then. Do you think it's a rich young master who has taken a fancy to Yun, or brought over a basin of hot water? Otherwise, she couldn't think of a reason. She removed the white cloth from Mu Lianfeng's wound. To Zhao Yun. The wound that had already scabbed over had a small gash because she bumped into it, and it was bleeding. Who would take a fancy to Yun? Zhao Yun, rich young masters of all kinds of women. Then she put on a new bandage and used the white cloth to bandage Mu Lianfeng's wound again. After busying herself for a while, definitely wouldn't. She concentrated so much that her body felt a little hot and a layer of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. Could it be that someone has taken a fancy to Yun? She had to take a good bath today. But mother, because of Mu Lianfeng, since someone has taken a fancy to Yun much during this period of time. I think it was only one room, and it was inconvenient. Family is asking for today. She was drenched in feces and now that they've sent so many gifts, if she didn't take a bath, her body would probably stink. Anyway, Yun'er hasn't married yet. Zhao Yun'er's body was steaming. When the time comes, we'll marry her off. Clothes. Li Chuan was a little excited as she spoke. When she thought of money, she was easily movements. It seemed that her life would be better in the front of her chest were loosened, and he could vaguely see the snowy white inside. Thought that it was true. And on Zhao Yun'er's chest, a red flower the size of a flower. Chapter 271. Mu Lianfeng's they sent so many good things over, but Zhao Yun unfortunately Zhao Yun'er's let alone let Zhao Yun'er get married. Mu Lianfeng sat up a little. Zhao Yun'er had already moved out of the family. He felt that there might be a red lotus mark on Zhao Yun'er. Smiled and said, "If it was true, why are you worried about this? Or be the woman who had sex with him, a member of our Zhao family." All right, young master, parents' orders and matchmaker's words. Don't move around anymore. This girl's marriage will naturally be arranged by our elders. If you get hurt again, it'll be serious. Was not bad. Zhao Yun'er said, "To be able to marry such a rich man like young master, she raised her head and saw Mu Lianfeng's gaze on her chest. Many people in the village wanted to find a good family. She lowered her head and realized that they could not find one like young master man, and her snow white chest could be seen. Agree? After being stunned for a second, although Zhao Yun has separated from the family and tidied we still have to take care of her marriage according to the orders of her parents and the words of the matchmaker. This Mu Lianfeng looked so serious. Mother? Could he be a pervert? The other members of the old Zhao family were listening. Zhao Ping'er was a little envious and jealous of Zhao Yun. Why couldn't possibly say that he wanted to see what was on Zhao Yun'er's chest? She wouldn't have to worry about food or clothes for the rest of her life. I wasn't looking there. Liang Jinxiao frowned originally wanted to ask what kind of mark was on Zhao Yun'er's chest. Grown up, but in the end she can decide her own marriage. If he asked, if young master Meng wants to marry her, he has to ask for Yun'er's opinion. It seemed that he had to take another look and confirm it when he had the chance. And Huchuan was he couldn't be sure of it. Sister-in-law, how can you be like this? He wasn't sure if his eyes were playing tricks on him or if he was thinking too much. Yun'er's marriage, as an elder, he thought about it today. He felt that he saw something on Zhao Yun'er's chest. Then young master Meng is such a good man. Young master, good enough that he likes a woman with a child. Can you stay in the right kitchen for a while? Does she really think that she can find a better family? Mu Lianfeng nodded. Liang Jinxiao still hurriedly covered her chest. There was nothing wrong with what she said. Now she suddenly felt the sense of danger from Mu Lianfeng. Well, third brother's wife, he looked like a gentleman, but in reality, there were many people who were beasts in human clothing. Old Zhao's family members ran away. Like that kind of person. But who knew if he went into her room and said to Zhao Xinhui to be on guard now? What Zhao Yun'er was more worried about was that she was still sleeping in the same bed as pieces of jewelry that you like. If he made a match with the clothes, it would be really easy. What Zhao Yun couldn't give Zhao Xin to boil some hot water in front of the other branches. Otherwise, they would probably fight to take a bath herself. Zhao Xinhui's eyes lit up. Also consciously left the room and went to the kitchen. Of course, it's true. He moved the room out for Zhao Yun, but you can't pick too many. Zhao Yun pieces poured the hot water into the wooden basin, nodded heavily, and then began to pick from the box. Tested the temperature of the water. In the end, she chose a gold hairpin, a gold bracelet, and a pearl necklace. After confirming that it was safe, she began to take off her clothes. Zhao Xinhui waved the gold bracelet on her wrist in front of the smell of feces were a little smelly. Yes. After she took a bath, she had to go to the river and wash her clothes clean. Mother, I think it looks finally good too. Taking a hot bath, Zhang Xinhui said with a grin. Felt a lot more comfortable. Soaking in the steaming jewelry into her room. His pores were after Zhao Yun'er went back, squinting his eyes, he couldn't wait to lie down. However, she was a little absent-minded she was not allowed to do so. She had to hurry up and wash up in case Mu Lianfeng waited outside for too long. If young Master Meng listened to Zhao Yun'er the character of old Zhao's family, but in the evening a lot of mosquitoes flew out. Seeing Zhao Yun'er come back from old Zhao's house, which attracted mosquitoes even more. Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but worry. After a while, many mosquitoes flew over to bite him. What's wrong? His body is there something wrong? So Mu Lianfeng came out of the kitchen. Hoped that Zhao Yun'er standing in the courtyard, he could clearly hear the ability. He would also help when Zhao Yun'er was bathing. Solve her problem. A thought suddenly popped into Mu Lianfeng's mind. Nothing. Zhao
There are
Yuner
too
was
many
taking a
weirdos
bath
in my
now,
family,
which meant that she must
Did
have
someone
taken off her
bully you?
clothes. No, how
If he
could
took
it
a
be?
look,
He might
how
be
could
able to
those
see
people
if there was a
bully me?
lotus mark on
Although
Zhao
those
Yuner's
people in
chest.
old
Zhao's family were a little weirdos. With
They
this
didn't
thought in
dare to
mind,
do
he
anything
felt that
to
it was
her.
too immoral
She
to
was
peek
worried
at
about
Zhao
young
Yuner
Master
bathing.
Meng.
While he was
rich and
hesitating,
powerful.
Mu Lianfeng had
He probably
already
had
walked
connections
to the
with
side
both
of
the
the house.
underworld and
It
the
was as
legal
if there
world.
was a voice
If he
inciting
wanted
him
to make
go and
things
take a
difficult
look
for a little
go and
peasant
take a
girl
look.
like her,
Just as he was about
matter.
to peek through the gap
in this
the
era,
door, it was really
Dao
difficult
suddenly
to
ran
live
over.
without money and power.
Daddy, why are you outside?
For a commoner, someone with power could casually use some tricks to kill her. She didn't have anyone
Chapter
to rely
280.
on now.
Naturally,
but mother
she
she
couldn't
couldn't
deal
deal with someone
Why are
like
you
young
outside,
Master
father?
Meng.
Dao
Didn't
didn't
even
even
go
go
out
out
when
when
mother
mother
was bathing
Zhao
in the
Yuner
bath.
said it casually,
Dao
but
bit
he
his
knew
lower
that things
lip,
were definitely
looking
not
like he
that
couldn't
simple.
figure it out.
Monsieur,
Dao,
that's because you're still a
anything, please
child.
tell me.
It's okay.
If I can help you,
Father
I
is
will
so
definitely
old he
help
can't
you.
watch girls
I
bathe.
definitely won't let
Mu
anyone
Lianfeng
bully you.
explained.
Mu
If he told
said
Dao that men
seriously,
and women
as if he was
shouldn't touch
reminding
each other,
Zhao Yuner.
Dao probably wouldn't
Zhao
understand.
Yuner responded.
Then Dao can't
She was
watch
very
girls
touched
bathe
by
when he
Mu
grows up
Lianfeng's
in the
actions,
future,
right?
However,
Dao
Mu
looked up
Lianfeng
and
wasn't
asked.
anyone to her.
Mu Lianfeng
She
patted
couldn't rely
Dao's
on
head.
him for a lifetime.
Of course,
If
there
girls
was
won't
anything in
casually
the
let you
future,
watch
she
them
had to
bathe.
deal with it herself.
Then father,
After
can Dao
recuperating
watch
for a
his
few
wife
days,
bathe in the
Mu
future?
Lianfeng's body was no
Dao
longer
asked
like
softly.
before.
The
corner
wound
of
on
Mu
his ankle
Lianfeng's
was
mouth
almost
twitched
healed,
slightly.
so it was fine
This
if he
child
moved slightly.
really thought far
Now
ahead.
Mu Lianfeng
How
could
old was
slowly
he?
move to the
He was
toilet
already
by himself.
thinking about his wife.
Mu Lianfeng really
That
didn't
Dao
like using
using
the
wife
cesspool
can be
in
watched,
Zhao Yuner's house.
but it depends on your
This
wife.
was too simple
If
and
your
crude.
wife doesn't let you
It was
watch,
just too
you
wooden
can't
plank.
watch.
With
Oh,
such a
then Dao
large person on
understands.
top of it,
It's
there was
mother
a
who
feeling
doesn't
that
let
the planks
father
would
watch
not
her
be able
bathe,
to bear
so
his
father
weight.
can only watch
If
outside.
the planks collapsed, his whole
After
body
Dao
would
had
fall
finished
into the
speaking,
cesspool. He held his
so
little
every
face
time he
and
went
looked
to the toilet,
sympathetically at
Mu
Mu
Lianfeng
Lianfeng.
was a little careful.
Father, you're so
He didn't
pitiful.
want the planks to collapse.
It seems like my mother
Many
doesn't like
seeds
you yet.
planted in the
You
vegetable
have to
garden
work
in
hard.
Zhao Yuner's
The
garden
corner
had
of Mu
sprouted and a
Lianfeng's
bunch
mouth
of them had
twitched
sprouted.
slightly.
Zhao
This child
Yun
was so
saw that
mischievous.
it was almost
What
time
could
to
he know?
fertilize the vegetables.
However, he also felt
there
that
was
he
nothing
should
to
work
do
hard
in the
when
afternoon.
Dao said that he had to
Zhao
work
Yun
hard.
took
He
a
wasn't
dung
that
bucket
good at
and
chasing
prepared to
girls.
go to the latrine
In fact,
pit
he
to
was
get
a
some dung
complete
to
idiot.
water. After
However,
all,
he
before
didn't
Mu
like women
Lianfeng
in the
went to the
past,
toilet,
and it
he
was
didn't
even
greet
more
Zhao
impossible
Yun.
for him to
When
chase
Zhao
girls
Yun
and win
pushed
their
the door
favor.
open, she
Usually,
saw Mu
it was the
Lianfeng
women
who
who
had taken
chased
off his
after him.
pants,
In
squatting
this
in the
aspect,
cesspool.
Helian Chin was the
Both
best.
of them were stunned for
Could
a
it
few
be that he
seconds.
had to ask Helian Chin for advice
Zhao
later?
Yun
Didn't
Mu
expect
Lianfeng
Mu
couldn't think
Lianfeng
of a
to be in
reason.
the cesspool.
Then he asked
She didn't
Dao,
see Mu Lianfeng come
what does
out of
your
the
mother
house
like
just now.
My
Why
mother
did he
likes
suddenly
me.
appear out of
Dao
nowhere?
answered
Mu
straightforwardly.
Lianfeng didn't expect Zhao
Mu
Yun
Lianfeng
to
pinched the
suddenly
bridge of
barge
his
in.
nose.
It wasn't
That's
good to
not
tell
what
Zhao
father
Yuner
meant.
about the cesspool.
I'm asking if your mother likes
Gradually,
anything
he could
she
squat
likes
in
to
the
eat,
cesspool
use,
and
play.
unbuckle his pants.
Dao thought.
Naturally,
I
he
don't know.
wouldn't trouble Zhao
I haven't
Yun.
seen her like
Miss
anything.
Yun. Father
Mu
Why are you
Lianfeng's face
asking
turned
this?
slightly red.
It's nothing. He was a little
Mu
embarrassed.
Lianfeng thought that since he wanted to get Zhao Yuner's love, he first
Chapter
had to understand her
273.
interests and likes.
After Mu Lianfeng
While the two
coughed
people were
awkwardly,
chatting,
Zhao Yun
also
finally
finished
reacted.
washing and pushed the
Aye.
door out.
Zhao Yun
She hurriedly
quickly
beckoned
beckoned
him
him
to
back
enter
and
the
rubbed her
house.
forehead.
Mu Lianfeng
Oh my
wasn't
God,
in the
who
kitchen.
could tell her what kind
Instead,
of
he was
embarrassing
strolling
thing she had
outside.
done again? It was very
She didn't
easy
know
for
how to
others to
explain
see
it
him.
to Mu Lianfeng
If someone
now.
saw him who knew what kind
I
of
didn't know
gossip
there
it
was
would
someone
cause.
in the latrine.
Zhao Yuner
Young
carried the
Master
wooden
Mu,
basin and
why didn't you
prepared to
tell me
wash
when
the
you went to
clothes
the
she had
latrine?
changed out of by the
I could have
river.
helped you.
When Mu
Zhao
Lianfeng
Yun
entered the
said
room,
awkwardly,
he smelled a
but
faint
if she didn't
fragrance.
say anything, the
It was very
atmosphere would be
pleasant.
even more awkward.
They didn't use locusts
Thinking
to
of the
bathe in
scene
the
she
heir
saw
apparent
just now,
residence. Zhao Yun was extremely embarrassed.
Compared to the
Thinking
strong
about
floral
it, fragrance of
Mu Lianfeng was
ordinary
really
women.
pitiful.
He liked
She had
the
seen
locust
his entire
fragrance on
body
Zhao
from head
Yuner
to
after
toe.
her bath very
Since
much.
she had seen him naked,
Zhao
Yuner
Yuner
finished
wondered if she
washing
should
the
be
clothes.
responsible for Mu
The sky
Lianfeng.
gradually darkened.
I can do it myself,
Besides
so I didn't
bathing,
trouble
the
Miss
water
Yuner.
in the house was
Does
almost
Miss Yun
out.
also
Zhao
want to go
Yun
to the latrine?
prepared to carry
Do you
a
want me
bucket
to
of water
hurry?
with her other
Mu
hand.
Lianfeng asked. No need, no need. Young Master Mu, you can take your
Chapter
time.
281.
I'll leave first. Zhao Yun
Just let me know when
turned
you're
around
done.
and found that it was
Zhao
Zhao
Yun
Qian who said this and
Zhao
hurriedly
Yun
ran away.
was a little curious.
When she reached the
It
front
was so
yard,
late,
her
how
entire
did she know
face
that
was
Zhao
red.
Tianhu was still
It was
hanging out
probably the
outside?
first time she had
Shouldn't he
encountered
be at
such an
old Zhao's
embarrassing
house?
situation.
After all,
When
Zhao
Dao saw
Tianlong
Zhao
and his
Yun
fifth
like
uncle
this,
had
he quickly
returned.
asked,
Old
"Mother,
Zhao's
what's
house
wrong?
should be lively
Why
at
is
this
your
time.
face so red?
What Chunhua
Are you
would
feeling
definitely take
unwell?
out good things to entertain
Mother,
them.
it's nothing."
Therefore, it
Zhao
was
Yun
not reasonable
quickly
for
said,
Zhao Tianhu to
"Oh,
be
mother,
outside
it's
at this
good that
time.
you're fine.
Second
I'll
cousin,
continue to
why
play
are you
with
still
Xiao
here
Mao?"
at this time?
Dao Du said in a
Zhao
soft
Yun
voice.
asked.
After a while,
I just
he ran
came out
away.
for a stroll.
He probably
Zhao
wanted
Tianhu
to
said.
get some grass for
There was
Xiao
some
Mao
hidden
first and
emotions
feed
in
it
his
to it
eyes.
later.
Zhao
Not long
Yun,
after,
her still
Mu Lian
coughing
came out of the
disappointment in
latrine.
Zhao Tianhu's eyes.
"Miss Yun, are
In
in
a
a bad
done.
mood? What was the
Young
reason?"
Master Mu, you're so
Zhao
fast.
Yun'er was curious.
Zhao
but
Yun'er
Zhao
felt a
Tianhu
little
didn't want to
guilty in
say,
her
so
heart.
she didn't ask.
Did she interrupt
Zhao
the other
Tianhu was
party's
taller
mood?
than Zhao Yun.
Was that why it was
His
done so
arms were
quickly?
longer than Zhao Yun'er,
and his
Mu
strength was
Lianfeng
greater
didn't know
than
how
Zhao
to answer
Yun'er.
Zhao Yun'er's
Therefore,
question.
it was effortless for
After
him to
all,
carry
he
a bucket
felt
of water
embarrassed.
from the river.
Then,
Second cousin,
going.
thank you.
Zhao Yun'er
Yun'er
took the dung bucket
when he wanted
and
to
went
reach
the
out and
latrine.
take the wooden bucket
She got
in
some
Zhao
dung and
Yun'er's
mixed
hand
it with some
Zhao
water.
Qianhu said,
Then she
I'll help
began
you
to
send it
fertilize
back.
the vegetables
It's a little
in the
vegetable garden.
Cousin Yun,
Once the excrement
do
was
this
stirred
kind of
up,
work in the
entire
future,
courtyard was filled with that
Zhao
smell.
Qianhu was kind,
However, the villagers
Zhao
seemed to be
Yun
used to
still
it.
didn't expect
After
that her
all,
second
they didn't
cousin
have
would
any
become
other
so
fertilizers, so they
in
often
other words, she
fertilized
didn't
their
have much
vegetables
contact
like
with
this.
Zhao Qianhu in
When
the
Zhao
past,
Yun'er was
so
doing
she
it,
didn't
her
know how
stomach
good
churned a few
Zhao Qianhu
times,
was.
and she felt a little
Zhao
nauseous.
Yun didn't refuse
Unfortunately,
Zhao Qianhu's
she had to
kindness
do it
and let
herself,
Zhao
and she
Qianhu
had
help
to
her
endure
send the
the
water
discomfort
back.
in her heart.
Second cousin,
Mu
thank you.
Lianfeng stood by the
When
door
Zhao
and looked
Yun'er
outside.
saw that it was getting
He
late,
could see
she
Zhao
reminded
Yun'er's
Zhao
figure
Qianhu
busily working
second
in the
cousin,
vegetable
it's getting
garden.
late.
A
He
hint
should
of
hurry
heartache
back as
appeared in
well.
his eyes.
Otherwise, when
he
it's
didn't
dark
expect
and you
that
can't
Zhao
see the
Yun'er
road
would have to
clearly,
do it herself.
it's easy to fall.
It was really too tiring.
All right. Zhao Qianhu responded. When he was about to turn and leave, he suddenly stopped and turned back to Zhao Yun'er. Cousin Yun'er, you'd better distance yourself from our old Zhao family. Don't let them trap you. After Zhao Qianhu finished speaking, he left. Zhao Yun'er did not even have time to ask Zhao Qianhu why he said such a sentence. The next day, Zhao Yun'er drove the donkey to deliver Bullfrog and returned from Yang City. Now that they had bought a little donkey, they didn't have to wake up so early in the morning and spent less time on the road. Overall, it was very convenient. This time, they delivered a total of 97 caddies of Bullfrog. She got 7 caddies for herself and 90 caddies for Aunt Lu. The total was 2 taels and 80 copper coins. Her share was 2 taels and 180 copper coins. However, because she bought the donkey, she didn't give the money to Aunt Lu last time. This time, she gave Aunt Lu 1.5 taels of silver. When Aunt Lu received the money, she really couldn't believe it. Chapter 282. At this rate, she would be able to save up a sum of money very quickly. Yun, our family should thank you. Without you, Shanzi's father's illness could not be cured. Now that he's fine, we don't have to worry too much. Aunt Lu's heart was finally relieved. Zhao Yun'er was about to say that she should go back when Aunt Lu said, Yun'er, I'm going to your grandparents' place to drink wine later. Do you want to come with me? Zhao Yun'er shook her head. She was going to bring Daodu with her, but there was still Mu Lianfeng at home. She had to cook something for him to eat before she could go to old Zhao's place with Daodu. Otherwise Mu Lianfeng would be hungry. Because Mu Lianfeng was eating alone at noon, Zhao Yun'er made a simple meal. She made a plate of braised fish and a plate of vegetables. When she brought Daodu to old Zhao's house, there were already many people gathered in the courtyard of old Zhao's house. They were all here to drink wine. The total number of people in the village was estimated to be able to sit at 5 or 6 tables. The person who came to help old Zhao's house cook was a woman in her early 50s. When the villagers held banquets, they would usually invite women who specialized in cooking. Some of them would directly pay, while some of them would bring back some leftover meat dishes after the banquet was over. After all, holding a banquet was considered a big event. If the dishes were not delicious and the guests were not satisfied, the host would inevitably lose face. Although Hu Chunhua was reluctant, this was the only time. He gritted his teeth and invited someone over. After all, none of his wives were tasty. When Zhao Yun'er went over, she was not arranged to sit at the table. Basically, the women who came over to drink wine from other families were not at the table in old Zhao's house. Before she came, she did not expect such a situation. Originally, she did not want to come, but when she saw that Zhao Baoshan specially called her, she could not refuse. After all, it was Zhao Tianlong's happy occasion. Zhao Tianlong and Xin Pan did not offend her in any way and treated her well. After thinking about it, she came over. Mother, father asked me to call Yun'er over to drink wine. Should we arrange for her to sit at the table? Liang Jinxiao asked Hu Chunhua. Hu Chunhua, who was busy in the kitchen, replied unhappily, why should she sit at the table? When the guests are at the table, all the men in the house are not at the table. Why don't you let her wait in the kitchen? When there are leftovers, can't you just make something to eat? Mother, how can we? Why not? Did your father ask her to sit at the table to eat? Why don't you know the rules at all? You're already so old. Do you still need me to tell you why? Hu Chunhua glared at Liang Jinxiao. Liang Jinxiao did not refute. After all, there were no women at the table in the house. Hu Chunhua was not just targeting Zhao Yun'er. However, it did not seem good to let Zhao Yun'er come to the kitchen to eat leftovers, right? Liang Jinxiao came out of the kitchen and said to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, your grandmother asked you to bring Daodu to the kitchen to eat. The guests are sitting at the table.
Without Liang Jinxiao's explanation, Zhao Yun understood what he meant. He did not want her to sit at the table. Chapter 283. Mother, forget it. I'll go back and cook something for myself. I'll eat better. I can only eat the leftovers here. Zhao Yun'er said. Liang Jinxiao sighed and tried to persuade Zhao Yun'er again. Yun'er, it'll be troublesome for you to go back and cook. Dauda must be hungry too. It's not leftovers, it's just the leftovers. They haven't touched their chopsticks yet. There's a lot of meat today and it's all good food. You can stay here and eat. You can at least have a good meal. Your grandfather specially asked you to come over. If you go back without eating, your grandfather will probably be unhappy. Mother, it's not about leftovers. Since he asked me to come over, I'm equivalent to a guest. If a guest can eat at the table, why can't I? Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao's words fell into Hua Chunhua's ears. Hua Chunhua didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to say that. She sneered, Who do you think you are? It's good enough to give you leftovers. Do you really think you're a guest? Guests come over and give money as gifts. Did you give them anything? If you don't want to eat, then don't eat. Hurry up and go back. Zhao Yun'er sneered. Old Zhao's family still had the nerve to mention gifts to her. They sold her for 200 taels of silver. Without these 200 taels of silver, Zhao Tianlong wouldn't have the money to study. They probably wouldn't have the chance to hold today's banquet. She didn't want to give any gifts and still wanted to eat at the table. She felt at ease. After all, it was old Zhao's family who owed her. Before Zhao Yun'er could say anything, Zhao Xinhui walked out of the house, dressed to the nines. The dress she was wearing was the one she had bought from Hua Chunhua when she went to Yang City with Hua Chunhua. It was a pink dress and the style and color were quite pretty. It was not as good as what the ladies in Yang City wore, but it was definitely eye-catching in the countryside. After all, girls usually wore dark-colored clothes made of coarse cloth. Her face was covered with a thick layer of foundation and rouge, and she even put on the few pieces of jewelry that she had taken yesterday. Zhao Xinhui was beautiful to begin with. Now that she was dressed like this, she did not look like a country bumpkin. However, in Zhao Yun'er's eyes, Zhao Xinhui had an indescribable tackiness. Sometimes, a person's aura wasn't something that could be emitted through clothing or jewelry. Instead, it was something that was naturally emitted. No matter how well Zhao Xinhui dressed, she didn't look beautiful. In terms of temperament, Mu Lianfeng was more elegant. Even though he was wearing tattered clothes, he still looked very handsome. He had an indescribable aura and a sense of nobility. Zhao Yun'er's gaze landed on Zhao Xinhui's jewelry. Based on old Zhao's family's financial status, how could they have the money to buy such jewelry? Zhao Yun'er frowned slightly. She had a bad feeling. Zhao Xinhui hopped in front of old Madame Zhao. Mother, do you think I look good today? Hua Chunhua glanced at her and smiled. You look good, you look good. Of course my Huya looks good. The attention from the people around her made Zhao Xinhui feel very happy. Since people were looking at her, it meant that she was the center of attention here. She dressed so well that others were stunned. Mother, I'm hungry, Zhao Xinhui said again. Why don't you wait in the kitchen? Or go inside the house and I'll bring you the leftovers when I have them. Chapter 284. If she went to the kitchen to eat, first of all, she would be eating leftovers. She didn't want to eat them. Second of all, she was so pretty. She had to go up on the table to show others. She didn't want to waste her efforts today. Since she was dressed up beautifully, she should show others. Before Hua Chunhua could persuade her, Zhao Xinhui pouted. Seeing that Zhao Xinhui was unhappy, Hua Chunhua quickly said, Okay. Come to the table. Come to the table and eat, okay? Zhao Xinhui then revealed a satisfied smile. Okay, mother. I know you treat me the best. Seeing old Madame Zhao's completely different attitude, Zhao Yun'er was a little angry. She didn't want to eat this meal, but Hua Chunhua's attitude and actions made her very unhappy. Grandma, isn't this table for the guests? Why is Andy sitting here too? If others see, they'll think that old Zhao's family doesn't know the rules. Zhao Yun'er, you're such a busybody. I can sit wherever I want. Do you think I'm like you? You've done so many shameful things and can't be seen in public. Zhao Xinhui mocked and ridiculed Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er hated it the most when people kept talking about her pregnancy before marriage. If it was really her doing, then so be it. However, it was clearly old Zhao's family who sold her. They took the money, but she still had to bear the family's infamy. How could this be? Zhao Yun'er walked in front of Zhao Xinhui and slapped Zhao Xinhui's face. Since she didn't know how to speak, then she would teach her well and let her know how to speak. Slap. A loud sound was heard. Zhao Xinhui felt a burning pain on her face. She didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to slap her. How dare you hit me? So what if I hit you? You don't know how to talk. If your parents don't teach you a lesson, of course I have to teach you a lesson. You bitch. Father, mother, hurry up and beat her to death. Do you think she's talking like a human? Zhao Xinhui roared with a ferocious expression. When Zhao Yun'er slapped Zhao Xinhui, she didn't know how many layers of powder had fallen off her face. Looking at her now, Zhao Xinhui no longer had any sense of beauty. She looked more like a monster. B*TCH? Zhao Yun'er snorted. Don't you know how to talk? When Zhao Xinhui was caught off guard, Zhao Yun'er twisted her arm again. Zhao Xinhui screamed. Hurry up and let go of me. What if you ruin my clothes? Can you afford to pay for it? And my jewelry? Zhao Xinhui's heart ached more for her clothes and jewelry. She was afraid that Zhao Yun'er would ruin her things. Zhao Yun'er's gaze fell on Zhao Xinhui's bracelet again. She reached over with her other hand and removed the bracelet from Zhao Xinhui's wrist. Then with a gentle push, Zhao Xinhui was pushed out. Zhao Xinhui panicked when she saw the bracelet in Zhao Yun'er's hand. She shouted at Zhao Yun'er, hurry up and return the bracelet to me. Return it to you? Zhao Yun'er's lips curled into a cold smile. Just as the few of them were making a fuss, the noise attracted the attention of others in the courtyard. Many people started to gather around them. It was good that there were more people. She wanted to expose old Zhao's family in front of everyone. Chapter 285. Hua Chunhua didn't dare to make a move because she knew that she couldn't beat Zhao Yun'er. Snatch her things? Did I snatch her things? Zhao Yun'er asked in return. She wasn't a fool. How could old Zhao's family afford such a gold bracelet? In addition to the other jewelry on Zhao Xinhui's body, it was more than 200 taels of silver. It seemed that after she left yesterday, young Master Meng's things weren't sent back, but were kept by Hua Chunhua. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but be angry when she thought of this. How greedy was this old Zhao's family? They actually kept young Master Meng's things behind her back. After being questioned by Zhao Yun'er, Hua Chunhua lost her confidence for a moment. This, grandmother, this was given by young Master Meng yesterday, right? Can you explain to me what's going on? Zhao Yun'er stared coldly at Hua Chunhua. That gaze seemed to be able to eat people. Hua Chunhua was so scared that she shivered. After all, she was a little guilty. Before Hua Chunhua could answer, Zhao Xinhui suddenly became anxious. She rushed up and wanted to snatch the bracelet from Zhao Yun'er's hands. If this little slut knew that the bracelet belonged to young Master Meng, she definitely wouldn't give it to her. Zhao Yun'er moved her body slightly and let her pass. This caused Zhao Xinhui to stagger and almost fall. What, you still want to snatch it from me? Hua Chunhua forced a smile and said softly to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er girl, young Master Meng's things are expensive. There are so many good things. Why did you reject him? Grandmother was afraid that you would regret it in the future, so she took it for you first. Zhao Yun'er sneered. It was true. She said mockingly, Grandma, since you said that, should I thank you? Yun'er, I didn't mean it that way, but it's really for your own good. Think about it, with so much money, you and Daodu won't have to live a hard life anymore. In the future, our family will use this money to build a big house. You and Daodu can move here too. We can live together and take care of each other, Hua Chunhua said with a gentle smile, trying her best to please Zhao Yun'er. Now Hua Chunhua suddenly regretted not letting Zhao Yun'er eat at the table. Now so many things had happened. Zhao Yun'er gleaned a lot of information from Hua Chunhua's words. This old woman was really thick-skinned. She even wanted to take her money and use it with the entire old Zhao family. Building a house? Haha, she even said that. She used young Master Meng's money to let the entire old Zhao family live a comfortable life, and then pretended to be magnanimous and accept her and Daodu to live together. Her wishful thinking was not bad. Grandma, since you helped me keep this money first, hand it over to me now. My things are naturally kept by me. Zhao Yun'er said. She put her hands on her hips and asked Hua Chunhua to hand over the money. Hua Chunhua originally wanted to keep it for herself. If Zhao Yun'er wanted it back, wouldn't it be equivalent to making her heart bleed? Yun'er, it's not safe to give so much money to you. Grandma will keep it for you. It's easy for thieves to enter your house. Hua Chunhua's mouth twitched and she said with an ugly smile. Whether it's safe or not is my business. You just have to return it to me. Chapter 286. Since she couldn't persuade Zhao Yun'er, she could only use force with Zhao Yun'er. Hua Chuanhua's words were a little harsh, thinking that this would make Zhao Yun'er obedient. Grandmother, you also said that this is the rule of old Zhao's family, but now that I've moved out, whether it's the place where I live or the household register, it has nothing to do with old Zhao's family. Why do I still need you to take care of my things now? Zhao Yun'er sneered and questioned. Even if you've moved out, you're still a member of old Zhao's family, so your things have to be taken care of by me. Enough, don't be so shameless. The villagers are all watching. Don't you have the nerve to say this? When you chased Daodu and I out, why didn't you think that we're old Zhao's family? Anyway, now that I've set up a female household, no matter what, I have nothing to do with old Zhao's family. Don't come over to curry favor with me just because I have something good. It could be said that Zhao Yun'er mercilessly exposed Hua Chunhua. In front of everyone, she didn't give Hua Chunhua any face at all. After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, she hurriedly used public opinion to create momentum. She called out to the onlookers who came over to watch and said to these people, "Uncles and aunties, come over and judge for me. Someone sent me a lot of things. We've already moved out, but my grandmother still wants to take my things." With Zhao Yun'er's shout, more and more people came over to join in the fun. Everyone was talking about it, and Zhao Yun'er didn't avoid the topic and told them everything. Many people saw young Master Meng's people driving the carriage to deliver things, so they naturally believed Zhao Yun'er's words. Many people began to criticize. She's already a grandmother. She can't be like this. Since they've separated from the family and Yun'er has established a separate female household, then her things must be kept by herself. That's right. I think Hua Chunhua just wants to pocket her granddaughter's things. That's right. It sounds nice to say that we're a family now. Back then, Yun'er was working hard to raise the child alone, but she didn't do anything to help. She even chased Yun'er out. Although the villagers were chattering softly, their words still fell into Hua Chunhua's ears. No matter how thick-skinned Hua Chunhua was, she still needed to maintain her dignity in front of so many people in the village. Aunt Lu also stood out and directly spoke up for Zhao Yun'er. I say, Yun'er's grandmother, you have to return Yun'er's things to her. Otherwise, how can you justify it? If Yun'er is willing to let you keep it, then you can have it. If she's not willing to give it to you, then do you want to keep it for yourself? Hua Chunhua replied with a red face, who wants to keep the girl's things? Aren't they also old Zhao's things? You're wrong. Yun'er isn't considered a member of old Zhao's family now. When did an outsider like you get to meddle in our old Zhao's affairs? Hua Chunhua said with some displeasure. Anyway, it wasn't a big deal. She couldn't bear to give so much money to Zhao Yun'er. No matter what, she had to keep it by her side. Hua Chunhua's attitude made the other villagers a little uncomfortable. It's not for us outsiders to meddle in this. We're just being reasonable. What you're doing is wrong. That's right, that's right. Even if you want to bully others, you can't bully them like this. Yun'er is really a pitiful child. Chapter 287. That's right. Let's find Li Zheng and see what else she has to say. Li Zheng Lu Fugue was also walking over when they were talking about him. Zhao Baoshan personally went to pick up Lu Fugue. The two of them walked one after the other and arrived at old Zhao's courtyard. As soon as they arrived, they heard that they were looking for Li Zheng. Lu Fugue thought that something had happened, so he walked over to ask about the situation. Zhao Yun'er didn't even need to explain. These villagers who couldn't stand it had already helped Zhao Yun'er explain the situation. Lu Fugue heard and said, this matter is indeed Yun'er's grandmother's fault. Back then, when Yun'er separated from the household, it was your old Zhao's family who personally suggested it. Since it has been separated, no matter what it is, it should be returned to its owner. Yun'er's things also have to be returned to her. Hua Chunhua was extremely unwilling, but since Lu Fugue said so, she couldn't offend Li Zheng. Zhao Baoshan also heard the situation from the side and his face darkened. Old woman, I didn't know about this matter. You actually helped Yun'er accept the things that others sent over. I say, why are you so greedy? How can you accept other people's things so casually? Now, no matter what, hurry up and return the things to Yun'er. Forced by Lu Fugue and Zhao Baoshan, Hua Chunhua had no choice but to say, yes, yes, yes. Return them to Yun'er, okay? Aren't I helping her keep them? Hua Chunhua's voice gradually became softer, and her mouth was murmuring something. Zhao Yun'er added in front of everyone, Grandmother, although I don't know what young Master Meng sent over, I will return it to him later. If he says that something is missing, then it must be you who kept it. I hope you don't play any tricks.
Hua Chuanhua's thoughts were immediately guessed by Zhao Yun'er, which made her even angrier. This little B***TCH was becoming more and more annoying. I know. Who's missing anything from you? Seriously? That's good. Zhao Yun'er's lips curled into a smile. Alright, everyone sit down. The banquet will start soon. Zhao Baoshan hurriedly called out. He didn't want to affect the festive atmosphere today. Seeing that the matter was over, the villagers returned to their seats. Zhao Xinhui was still unwilling to give up. He walked up to Zhao Yun'er and said, Zhao Yun'er, give me back my bracelet. Andy, did you make a mistake? This belongs to me. Why should I return it to you? My mother said it's mine, so it's mine. Are you going to give it to me or not? Of course not. Zhao Yun'er put her hands on her waist, looking like she was saying, come and snatch it if you have the ability. Hua Chunhua hurriedly said, Alright don't ask for it. Zhao Xinhui stomped her feet angrily. Mother, I like that bracelet. She said it's for me. Alright. If our family has money in the future, we'll buy it for you, alright? Zhao Xinhui didn't believe it in her heart. She also knew that Hua Chunhua wouldn't help her get it back this time. No matter how unwilling she was, there was nothing she could do. Zhao Xinhui was about to turn around and sit down at the table when Zhao Yun'er stopped her. Auntie, you forgot to return something to me? Although Zhao Yun'er had a smile on her face, it made people feel a cold aura. Chapter 288. There was a hint of coldness in Zhao Yun'er's eyes. Auntie, do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? What are you trying to say? Zhao Xinhui glared at Zhao Yun'er angrily. Since Auntie doesn't know, then I won't waste my breath. Zhao Yun'er pulled Zhao Xinhui over and removed the necklace and hairpin from her body. Zhao Xinhui exploded when she saw that Zhao Yun'er had taken away her last two precious pieces of jewelry. Give them back to me. Give them back to me. Give them back to me. Zhao Xinhui suddenly screamed crazily. What do you mean give them back to you? These are mine. Zhao Yun'er smiled and completely ignored Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Yun'er put away the 3 pieces of jewelry and held Daodu's hand. Daodu, let's go. Let's not attend this wedding banquet. Mother will make something better for you when we go back. Daodu smelled the fragrance in the kitchen and couldn't help but lick the corner of his mouth. But after glancing at Zhao Yun'er, he nodded obediently. Okay, mother. Daodu will go back and eat with you. Zhao Yun'er, I won't let you off. Zhao Xinhui said and rushed into the house angrily. Zhao Baoshan and Zhao Yun'er's uncle, Zhao Wenshi, came forward to persuade Zhao Yun'er when they saw that she was about to leave. Yun'er, alas, why don't you stay for the wedding banquet? Today is a good day. Don't be so unhappy as a family, Zhao Baoshan said. Yun'er, give your uncle some face and stay for the meal. Your eldest cousin brother is all thanks to you. Zhao Wenshi said. It was likely that Zhao Baoshan had already told Zhao Yun'er what Zhao Yun'er knew. Zhao Yun'er didn't know if the two of them were doing this out of guilt or because they wanted to please her. They were afraid that she would tell others about what they had done. No, we'll be eating leftovers if we stay. Although my family is poor, we're not that poor. I'll leave with Daodu first. Later, Grandpa, remember to remind Grandma to send the things to me after the banquet. Zhao Yun'er left this sentence and pulled Daodu out of old Zhao's courtyard. For some people, there was no need for her to give them any face. When they returned, Mu Lianfeng had just finished eating. However, he didn't seem to have much of an appetite for eating alone. He only ate a small piece of the braised fish and didn't eat much of the vegetables. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er and Daodu had returned, Mu Lianfeng asked, Yun'er, have you and Daodu finished eating so quickly? No, we haven't eaten. However, we didn't eat and came back with a stomach full of anger. Zhao Yun'er was still angry when she thought about it. Other than Hua Chunhua and the others, there were also her parents' things. It was fine if Hua Chunhua didn't say anything about accepting young Master Meng's things. After all, she wanted to keep them for herself. However, her parents didn't tell her about such an important matter. If she hadn't discovered it today, would she still be in the dark? These two people shouldn't trick their daughter like this, right? Didn't they think of the consequences? After accepting young Master Meng's things, did they really think that such a person was easy to deal with? Mu Lianfeng saw Zhao Yun'er panting with anger for the first time, but he felt that she was even more adorable. Yun'er, if you're willing, you can talk to me. You don't feel comfortable keeping this anger bottled up in your heart, right? At the same time, Mu Lianfeng handed Zhao Yun'er a cup of water. Zhao Yun'er took it and drank it. Chapter 289.
Zhao Yuner then explained the situation to Mu Lianfeng. Although she didn't mention much, Mu Lianfeng understood the situation. After listening to Zhao Yuner's story, Mu Lianfeng felt that Zhao Yuner and Daodu's life were too hard. The Zhao family was obviously bullying Zhao Yuner, and he was more worried about the Lord Meng that Zhao Yuner mentioned. He only hoped that Lord Meng wouldn't cause trouble for Zhao Yuner. Otherwise, the heir mansion had many ways to deal with him. Miss Yuner, you're still young. If it's possible, you can remarry and find a man to rely on. Mu Lianfeng wanted to say that she could try to consider him. He was rich and powerful and no one dared to offend him. If she married him and had his protection, no one would dare to do anything to her in Yang City, not to mention the entire Dezhou country. It depends on who I rely on. Ordinary men are unreliable. Lord Meng isn't an ordinary man. He has to be at least a member of the royal family. Lord Mu, do you think I'm that lucky? Actually, you can consider me, Mu Lianfeng said as if he was joking. This was the second time that Mu Lianfeng had hinted like this. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but wonder if this man was really interested in her. When Zhao Yuner was silent, Zhao Xinhui's voice came from outside the house. *tch come out. I'll teach you a lesson. If you know what's good for you, give me back my things. Zhao Yuner frowned. Why was it this woman again? She was like a dog skin plaster and she couldn't get rid of her no matter how hard she tried. She thought that Zhao Xinhui had become obedient, but she didn't expect that she would follow her to her house. Different situations call for different measures. Zhao Yun was not afraid of Zhao Xinhui. She wanted to see what kind of tricks Zhao Xinhui would use later. Daodu, stay in the house. Don't go out, okay? Zhao Yuner was afraid that Zhao Xinhui would hurt Zhao Yuner. I know, mother. You have to be careful too. Fanny bullies you, just shout. Daodu and father will come to save you. Daodu reminded her seriously. Zhao Yuner scratched Daodu's little nose and smiled at Daodu. Daodu. Here, sir, at least wait until he was a little older. Zhao Yun walked out of the house. She didn't want to go out and talk to Zhao Xinhui, but she was afraid that this woman would break into her house if she didn't come out. Then she might find Mu Lianfeng. Annie, I said it's mine. Why are you asking for it? Didn't you understand what I said before? Don't tell me you don't understand human language. Do you need me to repeat it? Anyway, you have to give it to me. Young Master Meng gave you so many things. What's the big deal if you give me these? I'm your elder. You have to be filial to me. Annie, you're really putting on airs. I haven't even been filial to my parents. It's not your turn. You. It looks like you're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Zhao Xinhui rushed over angrily. Zhao Yuner could deal with someone like Zhao Xinhui with one hand. But what she didn't expect was that when she grabbed Zhao Xinhui's hand, Zhao Xinhui took out her other hand. She was holding a pair of scissors. Chapter 290. Zhao Yun was caught off guard and Zhao Xinhui's move was too unexpected. Zhao Yun did not even have a chance to resist. She had really underestimated her aunt. She thought that Zhao Xinhui was just a little bad-tempered, but she would not dare to do such a thing. Now she realized that there was nothing Zhao Xinhui was afraid of. Zhao Xinhui was very pleased with herself when she saw that the scissors were about to cut Zhao Yuner's face. Previously, she had rushed into her house to look for the scissors. Now that her parents were no longer holding her back, she could give Zhao Yun a good look. Just as the scissors were a few centimeters away from Zhao Yuner's face, a teacup flew out of the house and hit Zhao Xinhui's hand. Zhao Xinhui's hand hurt and she let go of the scissors in her hand. The scissors fell to the ground and Zhao Yun avoided being stabbed by the scissors. Mu Lianfeng walked out of the house and stood in front of Zhao Yun. He asked Zhao Yun with concern, Yun, how are you? Are you hurt? Zhao Yun shook her head. I'm fine. Fortunately, Mu Lianfeng had acted in time. If he had not acted in time, her face might have been cut. Zhao Xinhui heard a man's voice and saw a man dressed in black walking out of Zhao Yuner's house. She cursed loudly, Zhao Yuner, you be **. You're really shameless. How dare you hide a wild man in your house? I'll go tell the villagers now. Zhao Xinhui's tone was filled with schadenfreude. This could be considered to have caught Zhao Yuner's weakness and could be used to deal with Zhao Yuner. Perhaps Zhao Yun would be afraid and negotiate with her to give her the jewelry. When Zhao Xinhui said this, Zhao Yuner's heart tightened. She had to admit that she was a little scared. Paper couldn't contain fire. After such a long time, Mu Lianfeng was finally discovered. However, when Zhao Xinhui took a closer look at Mu Lianfeng, he was stunned. Mu Lianfeng's handsome face was very familiar. Your Highness?
Zhao Xinhui asked with uncertainty. He rubbed his eyes and looked at it again to make sure that he wasn't seeing things. Other than Mu Lianfeng's rustic clothes, there wasn't much difference in other aspects. Especially his face. Not everyone had such a handsome face. Last time in Yang City, Zhao Xinhui had a deep impression of Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yun'er's heart was worried, but Mu Lianfeng's face was indifferent. He lightly said to Zhao Xinhui, "Since you know this Shizi's identity, then why did you say that this Shizi is a wild man?" Although Mu Lianfeng spoke indifferently, his aura was still there. Zhao Xinhui didn't dare to offend him. He hurriedly began to apologize. "Your Highness, it's all my fault. How could you be a wild man? I didn't recognize you just now and thought that Zhao Yun'er had brought a wild man home." Zhao Xinhui was curious. Why would Mu Lianfeng be in Zhao Yun'er's house? With Mu Lianfeng's identity, it didn't make sense. However, Zhao Xinhui looked at Zhao Yun'er with jealousy in his eyes. He began to criticize Zhao Yun'er in front of Mu Lianfeng. "Your Highness, you don't know that my niece likes to bring wild men home. Otherwise her belly wouldn't be so big. That's why I misunderstood you." Chapter 291. Zhao Yun'er did not intend to let Zhao Xinhui off so easily. Since Zhao Xinhui dared to be so ruthless to her, wouldn't it be too easy for her to let her off so easily? Zhao Yun'er walked in front of Zhao Xinhui and slapped both sides of Zhao Xinhui's face a few times. This time she did not show any mercy. Zhao Xinhui's face was swollen and it would probably take at least 10 days to half a month for the swelling to go away. "Ah!" Zhao Xinhui howled like a wolf. Zhao Yun'er said coldly, "Shut up. If you shout again I'll cut your face." Zhao Yun'er pointed the scissors at Zhao Xinhui. In fact, she was afraid that Zhao Xinhui's voice would be too loud and alert the other villagers. When Zhao Xinhui saw Zhao Yun'er pointing the scissors at her, she did not dare to shout anymore. She endured the pain and quickly closed her mouth. The Zhao Xinhui of the past could not bear such grievances. She cried pitifully and looked very aggrieved. Zhao Xinhui looked at Mu Lianfeng for help. She choked and said to Mu Lianfeng, "Your Highness, look. Zhao Yun'er is guilty. She saw that I told her the truth and she treated me like this. Your Highness, you have to help me seek justice." As Zhao Xinhui spoke, she even cast a few coquettish glances at Mu Lianfeng, thinking that Mu Lianfeng would take pity on her and help her on account of her good looks. Zhao Yun'er was disgusted by Zhao Xinhui. She was afraid that Zhao Xinhui did not know what her face had become and still thought that she was as beautiful as a flower. She looked at Mu Lianfeng sympathetically. She did not know how Mu Lianfeng felt when he met Zhao Xinhui's eyes. Mu Lianfeng's reaction was normal. He raised the corner of his mouth and said to Zhao Yun'er, "Miss Yun'er, I think that you were a little too gentle. Your sister-in-law doesn't seem to know what's good for her. I've never hit women, so there's no harm in helping you teach her a lesson this time." Zhao Xinhui looked at Mu Lianfeng in horror. She did not expect Mu Lianfeng to do this. "Your Highness, I beg you, let me go. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. Let me go." The speed at which Zhao Xinhui admitted defeat was really fast. Mu Lianfeng raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said to Zhao Xinhui in a condescending manner, "Since you don't want me to do it myself, you can do it yourself. It's impossible for me to let you go just like that. After all, everyone has to be responsible for their own mistakes. Don't you think so?" Mu Lianfeng spoke casually, but there was a tone in his voice that brooked no refusal. Zhao Yun'er only noticed Mu Lianfeng's imposing manner at this moment. This man in front of her was as tall and straight as a mountain. The sunlight fell on his body, as if he was covered with a layer of holy light. Zhao Yun'er had never been protected by a man like this before. This feeling was indescribably wonderful. Zhao Xinhui glanced at Mu Lianfeng. Okay. Your Highness, I'll slap myself a few times." Zhao Xinhui slapped her own face. "Slap, slap, slap. Isn't it a little too light?" "I can't hear anything," Mu Lianfeng said calmly. Zhao Yun'er was almost amused by Mu Lianfeng. It was so loud, but he said that he couldn't hear anything. It was obvious that he was making fun of Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Xinhui hurriedly slapped herself a few more times. Her swollen face became even more swollen. This time some blood flowed out of her mouth. Seeing that it was about time, Mu Lianfeng asked Zhao Xinhui to stop. Chapter 292. Your Highness, have you forgiven me? Zhao Xinhui asked. Because her face was swollen, her words were a little muffled. Seeing Zhao Xinhui like this, Zhao Yun'er suppressed her laughter in her heart.
Bitches had to be dealt with eventually. This time, Zhao Xinhui had suffered a lot. She probably wouldn't jump around too much for the time being. She was afraid that she would forget the pain after the scar healed. Did I say that I forgave you? Mu Lianfeng asked indifferently with raised eyebrows. Zhao Xinhui's heart tightened and she looked at Mu Lianfeng in confusion. She asked, "Then what does your highness mean? I remember that you wanted to tell the villagers about me and Yun are here and publicize it, didn't you? Ah, you'd better keep your mouth shut. Otherwise don't blame me for being impolite." Mu Lianfeng threatened. Zhao Xinhui didn't dare to disobey. Moreover, Zhao Yun'er's family was your highness, not some random man. She didn't intend to tell anyone. In the future she might even come to Zhao Yun'er's place often and seduce Mu Lianfeng. Yes. Your highness, don't worry. I don't think I'll tell anyone. Mu Lianfeng was relieved and told Zhao Xinhui to get out of here quickly. Seeing Zhao Xinhui's back view leaving, Zhao Yun'er felt good in her heart. She looked forward to seeing Zhao Xinhui's reaction when she saw her swollen face. Let's go inside. Mu Lianfeng said gently to Zhao Yun'er. His attitude was very different from how he treated Zhao Xinhui just now. Yes. Zhao Yun'er was in a good mood. Mu Lianfeng's image in her heart was even higher. Dao Du praised Mu Lianfeng as soon as they entered the room. Father, you're so amazing. You protected Mother. Mu Lianfeng rubbed Dao Du's head. Of course. Father is a man. Of course I should protect you and Mother. The three of them laughed together and the atmosphere was harmonious. Zhao Yun'er was in a trance and she felt like they were a family. After the banquet at old Zhao's house, under Zhao Baoshan's arrangement, Hua Chunhua returned all of young Master Meng's things to Zhao Yun'er. Mother, take a look. We've already used the scissors on this piece of cloth to make clothes for me. We can't return it back. Let's keep it. It's just a bolt of cloth anyway. Young Master Meng might not even remember it, Zhao Xinhui said vaguely as she tugged at Hua Chunhua. When she came back and saw her own face, she almost went crazy with anger. Now she didn't even dare to leave the house. She had to wait at home for the swelling on her face to disappear before she dared to go out. Hua Chunhua looked at Zhao Xinhui with a pained expression. That's true. It's just a bolt of cloth. Young Master Meng definitely doesn't remember it. That little bitch beat you up like this. She should at least leave some interest. Then Mother, let's keep 3 pieces of jewelry. The jewelry is too expensive. You might be able to tell. The cloth isn't cheap either, but he probably won't pay attention to this. Let's keep the cloth, Hua Chunhua said. Zhao Xinhui thought about it and agreed. It was better to have such expensive cloth than to have nothing. After checking the things that young Master Meng sent over, Zhao Baoshan said to Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao, third brother's wife, I reckon that Yun'er is angry with us now. You guys can send these things over. Okay. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao nodded. Okay, father. We'll send them over. Chapter 293. The cart was made of wood, and it was a common transportation tool in the countryside. Hua Chunhua looked at the cart full of goods being taken away. She was reluctant to part with them. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao delivered the goods to Zhao Yun'er's house. Zhao Yun'er didn't have a good attitude towards her parents. Instead of being angry with them, it was more like she was disappointed. When would she be able to change her parents' stubborn personalities? If they continued to be like this, she would be killed by them. It would be better for her to cut off her relationship with her parents before she was killed, so that she wouldn't have such a miserable ending. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao weren't fools. They could tell that Zhao Yun'er didn't want to talk to them. Yun'er, are you mad at me? Liang Jinxiao asked cautiously. He didn't dare to look into Zhao Yun'er's eyes. Mother, do you think I should be mad at you? Liang Jinxiao roughly guessed what Zhao Yun'er was thinking. What else could Zhao Yun'er be mad at? She was mad that Hua Chunhua didn't tell her that Hua Chunhua had received gifts from Lord Meng. Liang Jinxiao sighed and explained to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, I was going to tell you, but I thought you would make a fuss if you knew. Today is your eldest cousin brother's wedding. I wanted to tell you after the banquet. Zhao Yun'er roughly understood Liang Jinxiao's meaning. According to Liang Jinxiao, if she knew in advance, she would definitely make a fuss with old Zhao's family. It was meaningless to talk about it now, and Zhao Yun'er didn't want to think about it anymore. Mother, this is the last time. In the future, if old Zhao's family has anything to do with me, you must inform me as soon as possible. Zhao Yun'er exhorted. Seeing the nervousness and guilt in Liang Jinxiao's eyes, Zhao Yun'er couldn't bear it. I will, Yun'er. Mother won't do that again. N? Zhao Yun'er replied faintly. Zhao Yun'er moved all the things into her room.
Young Master Meng was really generous. All the things he sent over were good things. With so much money, who knew how many beautiful women he could buy? Zhao Yun couldn't figure out why young Master Meng was interested in her. It was indeed not safe for her to keep these things in her rundown house. Tomorrow she would go to Yang City to find out where young Master Meng lived and send these things to him. Early the next morning, Zhao Yun sent Bullfrog to Sun Zhanchuan's place. After settling the bill, she went to find out. Young Master Meng was considered a figure in Yang City, so it wasn't difficult to find his residence. Zhao Yun quickly found the Meng residence. There was a manservant guarding the entrance of the Meng residence. He stopped Zhao Yun and didn't let Zhao Yun in. "Little brother, I'm here to return these things today. Please help me and inform your family's young master." The manservant saw that although Zhao Yun's clothes were a little shabby, she looked delicate and pretty. She didn't have the rustic temperament of a country girl. He had a good impression of Zhao Yun. Coupled with the sweet smile on Zhao Yun's face, the manservant couldn't bear to refuse. Thus he said to Zhao Yun, "Then wait here. I'll go and inform my family's young master. Then, little brother, I'll have to trouble you. Just say that my name is Zhao Yun." "Okay." The manservant went in to report. Soon young Master Meng came out. Chapter 294. Young Master Meng's voice, coupled with that wretched smile, made Zhao Yun feel a little disgusted. She snorted softly and said to young Master Meng, "Young Master Meng, you're really impressive. You've even figured out my background so clearly." Young Master Meng said somewhat proudly, "Of course. In Yang City there's nothing that this young master can't do. Since this young master has taken a fancy to you, then you can't run away. Follow this young master and you'll have a good life in the future. Don't worry." Zhao Yun's mouth twitched a few times. "I don't know why young Master Meng has taken a fancy to this little woman. There's nothing special about this little woman, right? I'm not very good looking and I'm not young either. With young Master Meng's status, what kind of woman can't you have? I don't know if young Master Meng can be magnanimous and let me go." Zhao Yun admitted that she was a little cowardly and did not dare to offend young Master Meng. In this era she could not deal with rich and powerful people just because she knew some mediocre martial arts. Young Master Meng smiled and said, "Miss Yun is belittling herself too much. In this young master's eyes, Miss Yun is different from ordinary women. You're somewhat unique." Young Master Meng's words almost made Zhao Yun vomit blood. "Then since young Master Meng has investigated my family's matters so clearly, then do you know that I'm already a married woman with a child? Young Master Meng shouldn't have such a heavy taste, right? He shouldn't be interested in a married woman with a son, right? Men generally didn't like clean women, especially in ancient times. They probably valued women's chastity even more." Young Master Meng was slightly stunned, then said with a smile, "That's fine. Didn't you say that Miss Yun doesn't have a husband? You're just taking care of a child. This young master isn't such a petty person, so I won't mind too much." Zhao Yun felt like crying but had no tears. Damn it, so she had to thank young Master Meng for not despising her? "Young Master Meng, what you heard might be a little off. It's not that I don't have a husband, it's just that my husband wasn't by my side in the past. He came back a few days ago. Young Master Meng, if you really like this little woman, then it's a pity. Our great Zhou country's laws state that a married woman cannot remarry. Marrying a married woman is the same crime 50 times. Zhao Yun racked her brains to deal with Child Meng. She had to find a reason to make Child Meng give up on her. Zhao Yun thought that her reason could fool young Master Meng, but in the end, Zhao Yun realized that she was still too naive. Young Master Meng faintly said, "Miss Yun, you don't have to worry about this. Later this young master will speak to your husband and then he will divorce you. At that time this young master can openly marry you." Zhao Yun felt that a mouthful of blood was stuck in her chest, and she almost spat it out. She really admired young Master Meng. She didn't know what was so special about her that made young Master Meng so persistent. "Young Master Meng? Actually, this little woman just wants to live a simple life. I don't want to live a luxurious life. Please be merciful and let me go. A forcibly picked melon won't be sweet. I believe that young Master Meng can find someone better than me." Zhao Yun could only say it directly. She couldn't let young Master Meng go at all. Chapter 295. As Zhao Yun spoke, she pointed out the things on her little donkey to young Master Meng. "Young Master Meng, these are your things. I've returned them to you." Yun was just an ordinary woman. She had never seen so much money before. It's not safe in my house. Young Master Meng, please take them back. After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, young Master Meng's entire face darkened. This woman rejected him like this. No one had ever dared to speak to him like this. Young Master Meng's original patience was worn out. Zhao Yun'er, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Young Master Meng gritted his teeth and warned. Young Master Meng, I don't dare to offend you, but I'm a married woman. A figure like you wouldn't forcefully snatch a commoner's wife, right? Then let's see if this young master dares. Zhao Yun'er's brows furrowed together in worry. Young Master Meng's tricks were not something she could deal with. Just as Zhao Yun'er was frowning and not knowing what to do, a familiar voice sounded behind her. Zhao Yun'er turned around and realized that the person was Helian Qin. Helian Qin first called out to young Master Meng. In Yang City, the Helian family had business dealings with young Master Meng. When young Master Meng saw Helian Qin coming over, his attitude instantly became humble. After all, the Helian family's power was not ordinary. Basically, all the businessmen in Yang City did not dare to offend the Helian family. Helian Qin did not expect to see Zhao Yun'er here. He was pleasantly surprised. Miss Yun, why are you here? I'm here to look for young Master Meng. Is young Master Helian also here to look for young Master Meng? Ah yes. We're here to discuss some business matters. I didn't expect Miss Yun'er to be here too. This is really fate. Zhao Yun'er forced a smile and said, yes. Young Master Meng did not expect that Zhao Yun'er would actually know Helian Qin, and from the looks of it, the two of them seemed to be very familiar with each other. Young Master Helian, you also know Miss Yun'er? Young Master Meng asked in embarrassment. If he had a good relationship with Helian Qin, he really didn't dare to offend Zhao Yun'er. Helian Qin nodded. I've seen him a few times. When young Master Meng heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as they weren't close friends. If Zhao Yun'er tattled on him in front of Helian Qin and Helian Qin got angry, he would be finished. Helian Qin turned to Zhao Yun'er and asked, May I know why Miss Yun'er is here? I'm returning something to young Master Meng. As he spoke, he pointed at the thing on his little donkey. Young Master Meng couldn't say no now, so he said to the man who sent things to Zhao Yun'er's house last time, Ayun, you go and check the things. Ayun nodded. Yes, master. After Ayun checked the things in Zhao Yun'er's car, he said to young Master Meng, Young Master, the other things are correct, but we're missing a bolt of cloud brocade. Zhao Yun'er shrugged. Young Master Meng, your things are all here. Anyway, I didn't take them. If anything is missing, please go and find my grandparents again. After all, I wasn't the one who accepted these things back then. Little brother, you also know this. Zhao Yun'er pointed at Ayun. Ayun nodded at young Master Meng. Back then, he had no choice but to do this because he saw that Zhao Yun'er insisted on not accepting it. Chapter 296. If she didn't escape now, Zhao Yun'er was afraid that she wouldn't have that chance anymore. After all, she wouldn't be lucky enough to meet Helian Qin every time. As for what Ayun said about missing a bolt of cloud brocade, she knew that it must have been taken by old Zhao's family. They probably thought that young Master Meng wouldn't find out. Anyway, this matter had nothing to do with her. Even if it was missing, young Master Meng could just find old Zhao's family. She wanted to know how old Zhao's family would deal with it. Helian Qin seemed to have forgotten the purpose of coming to young Master Meng's place today. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er had left, he hurriedly followed. Young Master Helian, is there something you need? Zhao Yun'er asked. Helian Qin shook his head and said, Nothing. I just want to know if Miss Yun'er has seen Ah Feng. The Ah Feng that Helian Qin mentioned was Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yun'er didn't know why Helian Qin asked this. Thinking of what Mu Lianfeng said before, Zhao Yun'er felt that it was better not to reveal Mu Lianfeng's information. It wasn't that she didn't trust Helian Qin, but Zhao Yun'er didn't want any accidents to happen. Anyway, Mu Lianfeng's injuries were almost healed and he could return to the heir apparent's residence soon. Even if others were worried, they wouldn't be worried for long. Zhao Yun'er smiled and said to Helian Qin, Young Master Helian, you must be joking. How could I have seen young Master Mu? Did something happen to young Master Mu? Helian Qin smiled and shook his head. It's nothing. I thought he would go to your place. Zhao Yun'er couldn't read Helian Qin's thoughts, but she saw the disappointment and worry in Helian Qin's eyes. It was probably because he couldn't find Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yun'er didn't understand the situation in the Shizi mansion. She knew that Mu Lianfeng was fine and that he was recuperating in her home. As for other things, Zhao Yun'er didn't want to think too much about it. Young Master Hellion, there is nothing else, right? If there is nothing else, then I will leave first. Zhao Yun said her goodbyes. Wait. Miss Yuner, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss your cooking very much. I wonder if I can go to Miss Yuner's house for lunch today? Hellion Chin licked his lips greedily. What he missed the most was Zhao Yuner's red braised pork and the delicious mushrooms. Anyway, he had eaten in so many restaurants, but he had never eaten anything better than Zhao Yuner's cooking. After seeing Zhao Yuner, the worms in his stomach stirred. If he didn't eat Zhao Yuner's cooking today, his body would probably feel very uncomfortable. The corner of Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched. She was a little confused by Hellion Chen's sudden words. He specially went to her house just to eat her cooking? Hellion Chen saw Zhao Yuner's troubled expression and hurriedly said, Miss Yuner, don't worry. I definitely won't freeload this time. How about this? Put the ingredients on my tab and I will pay you another 500 copper coins. What do you think? Zhao Yuner guessed that Hellion Chen had misunderstood her. If it was just one meal, how much could he eat her food? Zhao Yuner was worried that if Hellion Chen went to her house, wouldn't he discover Mu Lianfeng? She still had to discuss this matter with Mu Lianfeng. But, young Master Hellion, isn't it too troublesome for you to come to my house so far away? Hellion Chen seemed to be very indifferent. It's okay, Miss Yuner. I don't think it's troublesome. I have nothing to do anyway. Chapter 297. The corner of Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched. This guy was really not easy to get rid of. Looking at Hellion Chen's expectant eyes, Zhao Yuner laughed embarrassedly and said to Hellion Chen, Young Master Hellion, you have time now, but I still have other things to do. So, Hellion Chen was not stupid. He knew that Zhao Yuner meant to reject him. He could not help but feel a little disappointed. Miss Yun, if I have time in the future, can I go to your house to eat? Of course. All right then. Miss Yun, you go ahead. I'll leave first. Looking at Hellion Chen's departing figure, Zhao Yun heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Zhao Yun did not go back immediately. Instead, she went to the market to walk around. There were still some things at home that needed to be bought. In the past, she did not have the money to save. Now that she could earn so much money every day, she still wanted to live a more exquisite life. She bought some vegetables and some bottles and jars of food back. When she was about to go back, she saw a small stall hanging on it. This stall is for sale. The price can be discussed in detail. It was a snack stall that was still doing business. Zhao Yun took a look. The snack stall's business was not bad. There were many customers coming and going. It was probably related to the craftsmanship and the location of the market. Logically speaking, this kind of stall should be able to earn a lot of money in a month. But why was it still for sale? Zhao Yuner walked over. The owner of the stall was an old woman in her 50s or 60s. Her movements were nimble. She served the customers faster and the things looked clean. Seeing Zhao Yuner walk over, the old woman greeted her with a smile. Miss, are you here to eat? See if there's anything you like to eat. You can order it. Zhao Yuner shook her head and said, Granny, I see that your stall is for sale. Your business is doing well. How are you going to sell it? The old woman smiled. My wife is going to give birth to a son. I also want to hold a grandson. Now that I'm busy with the stall and everyone is taking care of her, it won't do. That's why I want to change my business. I'll be able to serve her during her confinement period. Zhao Yuner nodded, thinking that this old woman was really not bad. If it was an ordinary mother-in-law, she would probably be reluctant to sell such a profitable shop and return to serve her daughter-in-law. Miss, do you want to take over my stall? To be honest, if I had the skills, it wouldn't be bad to set up a stall here. I could earn 100 or 200 coins a day. The price of the items sold was not high, but the profits were small and quick. If you do well, you might even earn more than me. Zhao Yuner continued to ask, how much would it cost to sell Granny's stall? If you want to transfer, you'll have to pay 2 taels of silver first. In the future, you'll have to pay 1 tael of silver a year to rent the stall. Zhao Yuner calculated. This was not cheap. If it was not done well, she might have to pay for it every year. Zhao Yuner sighed and said, then forget it. It's too risky. Miss, are you complaining that the rent is too expensive? If Miss has the heart to take over, we can discuss the price. The old woman was also a little anxious that the stall had not been rented out after a month. Zhao Yuner still shook her head. Granny, I don't want to do business for the time being. After all, I still have to discuss this with my family. How about this, if Granny hasn't transferred out in a few days, we can discuss the price again. What do you think? Chapter 298. All right, Mississippi. Let me know when you've made up your mind. Okay. Zhao Yun drove the donkey back to the village. With the donkey she came back much earlier. It was only 10 in the morning. When she passed by family Zhu, she heard the family Zhu quarreling. Zhao Yun heard the fierce quarrel and guessed that something must have happened. She parked the donkey in front of family Zhu's door and Zhao Yun walked in. The moment she entered the courtyard, she heard Mrs. Zhu's cursing. The content of her cursing was also very filthy and unpleasant. Zhao Yun saw Mulan protecting a little girl behind her. The little girl was not very old, about 6 or 7 years old. Because she had been malnourished for a long time, she was thin and dry. She looked very small, even smaller than Zhu San. The little girl was Mulan's child, Hua. She hid behind Mulan and was trembling a little. Zhao Yun saw that Hua's face was a little red and swollen. There was also a palm print. It was obvious that she had been slapped. He was such a young child, yet he hit him so hard. How ruthless was he? Mother, Hua is young and doesn't know any better. She ate when she was hungry. Mother, please don't hit her, okay? Mulan pleaded. Mrs. Zhu snorted coldly, she's just a good-for-nothing. Why don't you hit her? Will she learn her lesson if you don't hit her? Why are you still protecting her, you little b*tc? Get out of my way. Mother, isn't it just a steamed egg? Let's make another one. Hua will definitely learn her lesson this time. Mrs. Zhu sneered, isn't it just a steamed egg? It's easy for you to say. Do you think eggs are cheap? They're very precious. Even an old woman like me can't bear to eat them, but this good-for-nothing ate them. The more Mrs. Zhu thought about it, the angrier she became. She picked up the broom and threw it at Mulan. Hua screamed in fright. How could a child withstand such a scare? Mulan quickly held Hua in her arms so that Mrs. Zhu's broom wouldn't hit Hua. However, she was the one who was injured. The broom fell heavily on Mulan's back. It hurt just by looking at it. Mrs. Zhu was really merciless. She used so much strength. Fortunately, she hit Mulan. If it hit Hua, her petite body would not be able to withstand it. Cruel and merciless old woman, Zhao Yun cursed in her heart. Looking at Mrs. Zhu's appearance, she felt disgusted. How could there be such an annoying person? Now she sympathized with Mulan even more. Stop. Zhao Yun scolded and pulled up Mulan and Hua from the ground. Mrs. Zhu glanced at Zhao Yun and said in a displeased tone, What do you mean stop? I'm teaching my family a lesson. What does it have to do with you? Do you want to interfere? Zhao Yun took a deep breath. She knew that she was meddling in other people's business. However, she had a good relationship with Mulan. She couldn't just watch Mulan be bullied like this. Her mother was also a stubborn person. She didn't want Mulan to continue enduring like this. She would be as miserable as her mother for the rest of her life. Auntie Family Zhu, I don't mean to meddle in your family's business. I'm just saying something fair. It's just a child who stole a bowl of steamed egg. Aren't you afraid of hurting her by hitting her so hard? If this goes on, won't you need a doctor to treat her? Zhao Yun said with a cold smile. Chapter 299. Mrs. Zhu said in an aggressive tone. She probably thought that Zhao Yun wouldn't give her an egg. In the countryside, ordinary people wouldn't be willing to eat eggs. Eggs were usually saved to exchange for money. Seeing Mrs. Zhu's reaction, Zhao Yun said, Sure, it's just an egg. I'll give it to you later. Mrs. Zhu was struck dumb for a second. She didn't expect that Zhao Yun would say that. Mulan said, Yun, you don't need to help me. You can keep the egg for yourself. Mrs. Zhu was furious when she heard that. How could she let Mulan ruin her chance to earn an egg? You bitch, what are you talking about? If I don't want you, I'll make an egg out of you. Mulan looked a little sad. She thought for a while, then said to her mother, Mom, I made some money a while ago. That money should be enough to buy a lot of eggs, right? Mrs. Zhu was displeased when Mulan mentioned that. You did make some money, but isn't it to supplement our family Zhu? You eat and drink family Zhu's food. Isn't food money? Zhao Yun really admired Mrs. Zhu's ability to turn black into white. Mrs. Family Zhu, you're wrong. If Mulan didn't make money, she would still be able to eat and drink family Zhu. She can't save money, right? For an egg, you beat and scolded her and her child. I think Mrs. Mulan shouldn't help the family Zhu to make money. Anyway, she won't gain anything. The child was treated like that just because he ate an egg. Zhao Yun said angrily. She was helping Mulan to say that to Mrs. Zhu. She believed that Mulan didn't dare to say it out loud herself.
Zhao Yun can be said to be mercilessly exposed, making old Madame Zhu lose face. The most important thing is that old Madame Zhu is afraid that Mulan will really learn from Zhao Yun and not sell things in Yang City to make money. Zhao Yun get out of here right now. It's none of your business. Today I'll beat this bitch and the little bastard to death. Mrs. Zhu angrily held the broom and was ready to teach Mulan an Hua lesson. She just wanted to regain some face from them and make Mulan continue to listen to her. Zhao Yun couldn't hit an old woman. If she did something to Mrs. Zhu, she didn't know how this disgusting old woman would blackmail her later. However, she couldn't let Mrs. Zhu bully Mulan like this. Zhao Yun was worried when a young man walked into the yard. It was Mulan's husband Zhu Eru. Zhu Eru was tall and strong, but he was a little thin. His skin was dark and it was obvious that he often worked in the fields. When he saw Mrs. Zhu's broom was about to fall on his wife and child, he hurried forward and grabbed Mrs. Zhu's hand. "Mother, what are you doing? Why are you hitting Lan and Hua?" Mrs. Zhu snorted. "It's all because of your wife and the little bastard. The little bastard secretly ate the egg soup, and Mulan is still protecting her." Usually Zhu Eru was also filial, so old Madame Zhu knew that no matter what, her son would definitely stand on her side first. Chapter 300. After so many years, Zhu Eru had figured out what kind of people Mulan and his mother were. Zhu Eru didn't listen to Mrs. Zhu's side of the story. Instead he asked Mulan first. "Mother, Hua is a glutton. It's okay for her to eat a bowl of steamed egg, right? The child is so young. What if you hurt her? It's normal for Mulan to protect her. If I were here I would protect Hua too. You're such an unfilial son. You've really forgotten your mother after you got married. Now you're protecting your wife, right?" "Mother, I'm not protecting anyone. I'm just telling the truth. For so many years Mulan has been working hard for our family. She has done all kinds of hard work. However, you hurt Mulan because of such a small thing. You shouldn't have done that." Zhu Eru didn't want to say these words at first. Now that he didn't say it, he felt uncomfortable, especially when he saw that his wife and daughter were injured. He was Mrs. Zhu's son, but he was also Mulan's wife and Hua's father. If he couldn't even protect his wife and daughter, was he still a man? Mrs. Zhu was so angry that she shouted again, "You're wrong, Eru. How can you say that? How can you say that about your own mother? The family Zhu has really raised an ungrateful son of a bitch." Mrs. Zhu's scolding became more and more unpleasant. Zhu Eru was grateful to his parents for bringing him up. Over the years he worked hard so that the family Zhu didn't have to live so hard. Even these favors were repaid. His mother was becoming more and more unreasonable. After enduring for so many years, Zhu Eru finally exploded this time. "Mother, if you think that Lan'er and I didn't do well, let's split up, okay? In the future we'll live our own lives separately. We won't eat a mouthful of food from the family Zhu." Zhu Eru said with some anger. This sentence really angered Mrs. Zhu. "What did you say? You want to split up? Oh my God, why am I so unlucky to have given birth to such a heartless son? He actually dares to talk to me about splitting up. I'm not dead yet." As Mrs. Zhu cried, she sat down on the ground and began to wail. This sound would probably attract the attention of the crowd later. Zhao Yun'er was also speechless. As the saying goes, dirty linen should not be aired in public. However, Mrs. Zhu seemed to want people to know that her son and she were splitting up. Zhu Eru frowned. This time he was determined. No matter how Mrs. Zhu made a fuss, he would not relent. If it was in the past, Mulan would probably have relented when she saw that her family was in conflict. But this time she was silent. If they really split up, it might be a good thing. Previously, Zhao Yun'er had mentioned to her about splitting up, but she felt that it was impossible. She didn't mention it in front of Zhu Eru because it would hurt their relationship. Now that Zhu Eru had said it out loud, she wouldn't stop him. Today's matter had already broken Mulan's heart. "Mother, if we don't split up, you can control what we eat. The child is greedy and eats a little. If you do this, Lan'er and we won't be angry with you. There are many people in the village who have split up. Why don't we also split up this time to avoid so many quarrels?" Zhu Eru said. Another man walked over from the courtyard. It was family Zhu's eldest son, Zhu Daniu. Chapter 301. Zhu Daniu knew that if they really separated, he would be the only one left to suffer. His father was dead and there was no man in the family. He and Zhu Eru were busy with the work in the fields. Family Zhu also had 7 or 8 mu of fields. He couldn't do it alone. When he wasn't busy in the fields, he would find work to earn some money. However, the reason why family Zhu wasn't rich was that he had to support his third brother, Zhu Sanlu. His third brother's basic income was subsidized for his studies every year. If they separated, he would have to do the work alone. If the second branch was separated, he would have to support his third brother's studies alone. Although they were brothers, Zhu Dainiu still felt uncomfortable in his heart. Moreover, his wife was usually lazy. Most of the household chores were done by him as his second sister-in-law. He didn't say anything, but it didn't mean that he didn't know. In general, separating wouldn't benefit him at all. Big brother, I'm not talking out of anger. I really want to separate. You can live your own lives. Our second branch will be separated. Zhueru said. You heartless boy. Are you trying to anger your mother to death? Separate? Separate? Wait until your mother dies, then you can slowly divide it. Old Madame Zhu acted as if she was going to kill herself. Zhu Dainiu hurriedly stopped her. Zhueru also glanced at Mrs. Zhu with some worry. In the end, he didn't stop her. Second brother, you see, if we split up, how can mother commit suicide like this? You can't just watch as something happens to mother, right? Zhu Dainiu tried to persuade him again. Zhao Yun didn't get involved. She just watched the show quietly. She admired Zhueru a little. This man didn't look like the kind of person who was too stubborn. Looking at Zhueru's attitude, he was determined to separate. If they really separated, Zhao Yun would be happy for Mulan. Big brother, what I want is for us to separate from the family, not for our mother to seek death. It's true that your mother's life is important, but Lan and Erhua's lives are also important. Zhueru's attitude was firm. Mulan stood behind Zhueru and suddenly felt that her husband was as tall and straight as a mountain. Being able to marry a man who protected her like this was also a kind of happiness, right? Ai, second brother, I know you are angry with mother, but how can there be so much hatred in a family? Mother is just a little hot-tempered. You can't be angry with mother, right? As Zhu Dainiu spoke, some people came over to the family Zhu's courtyard to join in the fun. Big brother, it's easy for you to say. If your wife and son were beaten by their mother like this, would you still be able to say such words? Zhueru asked back. Seeing that the villagers had come over, they chattered non-stop, guessing what had happened. Zhueru simply dropped the topic and pulled Zhu Erhua to the front of everyone. The red swelling and palm print on her little face had yet to disappear. Everyone had children and grandchildren. When they saw Erhua being beaten up like this, they couldn't help but feel sympathy for her. This family Zhu's old lady is too cruel, isn't she? Your little girl is beaten up like this. If she was beaten a little harder, she might have died. Chapter 302. Well, they're all biased. Family Zhu's second son and second daughter-in-law are both disliked. Well, they can't do that. They beat and scolded their wife and children. Eru can't be blamed for separating from them. Nobody can accept it. Exactly, I think it's better for them to separate from family Zhu. Let's see if family Zhu's mother can live a good life after that. Zhao Yun listened to their discussion on the side. She noticed that all the villagers were biased towards Zhueru. Of course, in the discussion of these people, Zhao Yun also added fuel to the fire. When all the villagers agreed that family Zhu should separate from them, Zhueru and Mulan could really separate from each other this time. Zhu Dainiu and Mrs. Zhu were both angry when they heard the villagers' discussion. It seemed that if they didn't follow Zhueru's order, they would be scolded later. Compared with Mrs. Zhu, Zhu Dainiu was more anxious. Eru, we're biological brothers. Our third younger brother hasn't married yet. It's not good for us to separate from each other now. Why don't we wait until our third younger brother is married? Zhu Dainiu sighed. It seemed that he cared more about this family. Brother, our third younger brother is still young. We don't know how long we'll have to wait for our third younger brother to get married. At that time Lan and Erhua will be dead. Brother, I've already told you that we can separate from each other. You can live a happy life together. Eru, is it worth it to hurt the harmony of our family because of such a trivial thing? Zhu Dainiu pretended to be sad. After Zhu Dainiu finished speaking, he came out to face the people who were afraid of him. Dainiu, it's easy for you to say that. You just don't want to separate from each other. After all, you and your wife have done less work than Eru and his wife. Your mother is biased towards you. What do you mean by hurting the harmony? How did your mother treat the second branch? We all saw it with our own eyes. A woman stood out and sneered. Since she wasn't afraid of causing trouble, she didn't hold back at all. The other villagers followed suit. It's good that you're separated. You won't be bullied every day if you're separated from the second branch. Dani, you're filial. You can live with your mother in the future. Why are you dragging Eru away? I don't know what he's thinking. Even his own brother is like this. Zhu Daniu was so scared that he didn't know how to respond. Her face turned bright red from embarrassment. These people had already made it so clear. If he still tried to persuade Zhu Eru not to split, he would probably be scolded for being thick-skinned. Thus, he lowered his voice and blinked his eyes to signal old Madame Zhu. Mrs. Zhu said to Zhu Eru with a cold face, "You unfilial son. If you really want to separate from the family, then you won't get a single thing from our family, Zhu." Mrs. Zhu just wanted to intimidate Zhu Eru. After all, if they really didn't get a single thing, Zhu Eru, Mulan and their children wouldn't be able to survive at all. Zhu Eru frowned. Seeing that Zhu Eru didn't say anything, Mrs. Zhu was a little proud. She knew that her words would scare Zhu Eru. The villagers couldn't stand it anymore and began to defend Zhu Eru. How can you do this? No matter how biased you are, you can't leave nothing behind after splitting from the family. Eru has worked so hard for the family Zhu before. Chapter 303. The eldest and youngest sons are sons, but isn't the second son also a son? Won't you be punished by the heavens if you do this? The villagers chattered away, making Mrs. Zhu lose face. Mrs. Zhu scolded the onlookers. What right do outsiders have to meddle in our family Zhu's affairs? I can do whatever I want. Aha, Andy family Zhu, what are you saying? We're not meddling in other people's affairs. We just can't stand it. If you act like this, I'll see who dares to marry an unreasonable person like you in the future. Your third son isn't married yet, right? Your grandson still has to marry a wife in the future, right? Your granddaughter still has to marry, right? Don't ruin your reputation. Mrs. Zhu was really frightened by what others said. In the village, other things were not important, but reputation was still very important. If people spread rumors, then it would really be troublesome for family Zhu to marry a wife or daughter in the future. Mrs. Zhu frowned. Because of these meddlesome people, she had no choice but to share some things with Zhu Eru even if she didn't want to. Zhu Eru said, "Mother, I don't want much. Just give me a room in our house so that Lana, the children, and I can have a place to stay. We have a total of 6 mu of paddy fields and 2 mu of dry land. Give me 1 mu of paddy field and half a mu of dry land. The rest will be given to eldest brother and third brother." In this way Zhu Eru didn't have much. If they really split the family assets evenly, they would get more than this. Andy family Zhu, Eru doesn't want much. You have to give it to him, right? Mrs. Zhu didn't say anything. Instead, she looked at Zhu Daniu and asked for Zhu Daniu's opinion. Although this request didn't sound like much, Zhu Daniu still felt that he was at a disadvantage. Second brother, you also know that third brother is still studying. His school expenses for a year are 2 taels of silver. We paid for it together before we split from the family. If we split from the family, you'll have to bear half of it, right? After Zhu Dania finished speaking, a villager started to spit out, "Your third brother also got some of the farmland. Shouldn't he give some of his annual harvest to Eru? Isn't it obvious that he's bullying us?" That's right. You shouldn't bully people like this. Zhu Daniu's face and ears turned red from fear. His wishful thinking was not given a chance for him to carry out. Thus, someone suggested, "I think Eru should just share 1/3 of the cost. Actually, it's understandable even if he doesn't share the cost after we split up. Andy family Zhu, if Eru were to share 1/3 of the money, would the family be able to be divided like this?" Well, family Zhu's old lady still didn't know what to say. She couldn't calculate this by herself. Instead, she looked at Zhu Daniu. Zhu Daniu thought for a while. If Zhu Eru could share 1/3 of the cost of his third brother's tuition, it would be fine. As for the other 1/3, his third brother's annual harvest would be enough. Now that the villagers were watching them split from the family assets, they couldn't bully Zhu Eru too much. In fact, after thinking about it carefully, if his third brother got married and split from the family assets, he wouldn't be able to get so much farmland. Thus, Zhu Dani nodded and said, "Okay. If Eru can share 1/3 of my third brother's tuition, we'll split it like this." Chapter 304. 1 mu of paddy field, half a mu of dry land, 3 children, and 600 to 700 copper coins every year. Life in the future should be very difficult. Mulan nodded. She was not afraid of these. She and Zhu Eru were hardworking people. As long as the two of them worked hard, they would be able to live a good life. If it was before, Mulan would not have any confidence. Now that she could do business on the street and earn money, she could work harder and make more baskets to sell. That's good. Big brother, mother, it's settled. In the future, mother will live with you. Our second branch will be separated. Also, second brother, you have to bear some of mother's alimony every year. It depends on how much you want, but you can't let me and third brother bear it. Deal? Thus, the separation of the family Zhu was witnessed by the villagers. Zhao Yun also breathed a sigh of relief. On the surface, Mulan and her man got less and were at a disadvantage. However, Mulan was considered to have escaped the clutches of the devil, which was also quite fortunate. As long as she was hardworking and willing to use her brain, there was nothing that she could not live on. Zhao Yun was not worried about Mulan's situation at all. After watching the show at the family Zhu, it was already past 11 o'clock. Zhao Yun hurried the little donkey back home. Daodu and Mu Lianfeng were sitting in the house. Mu Lianfeng was teaching Daodu his homework. Among the books that Zhao Yun bought, there were the 3-character classic, the 1,000-character classic, and the Book of Songs. At this time, Mu Lianfeng and Daodu were explaining the Book of Songs. Zhao Yun arrived and stood at the door. She heard Mu Lianfeng's mouth read, "The peach blossoms are bright and beautiful. The son of Yu Gui is suitable for his wife. The peach blossoms are bright and beautiful. The son of Yu Gui is suitable for his wife. The peach blossoms are bright and beautiful. Yu Gui, the son of God, belongs to his family." Zhao Yun didn't know much about these ancient texts. When she was young, her grandfather liked classical literature and had talked about it to her. Although she didn't understand the meaning of the poem, Zhao Yun liked it immediately. She felt that it was beautifully written. Daodu was only 3 years old, so he naturally didn't understand what the poem was about. He asked in a soft and cute voice, "Daddy, what does this poem mean?" Daodu doesn't understand. Mu Lianfeng patted Daodu's head affectionately. "You're still young. It's normal that you don't understand. You'll understand when you grow up. But Daddy really likes this poem now." Daodu was a little confused. Why does father like this poem? Because of the artistic conception of this poem, Mu Lianfeng said. He recited the poem silently again while imagining Zhao Yun holding a bouquet of bright peach blossoms in her hand. It was indescribably beautiful. He was waiting for the day when this beautiful woman would marry him and become his wife. In the past, when he didn't have a woman he liked, he didn't understand the beauty of this poem. What artistic conception is it? Zhao Yun walked in and asked with a smile. She also wanted to hear what Mu Lianfeng had to say. Mu Lianfeng was slightly surprised, then the corners of his mouth rose into a smile. It was so beautiful that it took people's breath away. Nothing. Artistic conception is something that can't be explained. You can only experience it yourself, Mu Lianfeng said, but didn't say that he was thinking of Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun smiled and didn't continue to ask, because she also knew that artistic conception could only be understood and not explained. Chapter 305. I'm going to prepare dinner. You two should take a break too. You've been studying all morning, Zhao Yun said. Mu Lianfeng closed his book and nodded. Daodu sensibly said to Zhao Yun, "Mother, Daodu will help you with the fire." "I'll go too." Mu Lianfeng eagerly followed. Both the adult and the child wanted to help her with the fire, and Zhao Yun didn't stop them. However, Mu Lianfeng had never done something like starting a fire before. Because of Mu Lianfeng's status, he usually didn't come into contact with such things. The adult and the child stood in front of the stove. Zhao Yun was cooking above, but she didn't see the fire start for a long time. After a while, she realized that it was Mu Lianfeng who was making the fire. Daodu was guiding him from the side. "Father, this is a fire starter. Before you start the fire, you have to loosen the grass. You have to burn the grass that's easy to burn. A wooden stick won't ignite immediately." Although Daodu was young, he was better at this kind of thing than Mu Lianfeng, who was an adult. Mu Lianfeng listened and nodded seriously. "Okay, father will give it a try." Yes, father, you can do it." Haha, Mu Lianfeng followed Daodu's instructions and sure enough, the fire started. "Daodu, look, it's on fire." Mu Lianfeng suddenly felt a sense of accomplishment. "Father, you're awesome." Daodu praised. The corners of Zhao Yun's mouth couldn't help but curl up. Looking at the interaction between these two people, she suddenly felt that the atmosphere was a little warm. When the pot was hot, Zhao Yun poured some rapeseed oil into it. After a while, the oil heated up, and a fragrant smell came out. She poured the chopped chili and bird eggs into the pot, and prepared to stir-fry the chili and scramble eggs. Spicy food was more appetizing. He had been eating a lot of meat recently, so it was a little oily. Recently, Zhao Yuner also had some indigestion in her stomach. She hoped that these 2 meals would be as light as possible. The dishes would go well with the rice but not so greasy. In addition, he stir-fried a plate of cabbage, thickened a plate of mapo tofu, and added some egg drop soup. Although there was no meat, it tasted good. It was also very sumptuous. However, when the chili scrambled eggs, there was a pungent spicy smell that made people sneeze uncontrollably. It was very uncomfortable. Zhao Yuner used to stir-fry chili peppers, so she had already gotten used to the taste. It was Mu Lianfeng's first time experiencing it. He kept sneezing and his whole face turned red. Zhao Yuner looked at Mu Lianfeng worriedly and asked, "Young Master Mu, do you want to go out and get some fresh air?" Ahem, Mu Lianfeng coughed and waved his hand. "It's okay, Yuner. At first I was choking badly, but now I'm much better." Zhao Yuner glanced at Mu Lianfeng in disbelief, wondering if Mu Lianfeng was trying to be brave. Mu Lianfeng pretended to be calm and did not have any special reaction. Zhao Yuner retracted her gaze and continued to cook. Mu Lianfeng held back his cough. It was really uncomfortable. But he did not want to leave. Zhao Yuner often experienced such an uncomfortable feeling. It was too difficult. He did not expect that even cooking was not so easy. His heart ached for Zhao Yuner even more. After cooking, the water in the hanging pot began to boil. Zhao Yuner took out some tea leaves that she had stir-fried previously and soaked a pot of water. The tea leaves had been stored, but she had never drunk them. Because she did not have a thermos at home, the water would cool down very quickly. There was water in the kitchen for cooking, but she was too lazy to take out the tea leaves to soak. Chapter 306. Daodu was still young, so it wasn't suitable for him to eat greasy food. Mu Lianfeng was even more so. Drinking tea often had its benefits. Not long after, the tea in the teapot emitted a fragrant smell. At the same time, the meal was also ready. Zhao Yuner called out to Daodu and Mu Lianfeng to start eating. After eating and drinking to their fill, Zhao Yuner brought the tea over for Daodu and Mu Lianfeng to drink. "Mother, what is this?" Previously, Mother directly brewed it from the leaves that Mother picked from the mountains. Zhao Yuner explained. The tea had a faint green color and it looked very fresh and beautiful. When Daodu heard Zhao Yuner's words, although he was curious, he didn't know what it was. He still drank it. As soon as the tea entered his mouth, Daodu spat it out. "Mother, it's so bitter." "Bitter?" Zhao Yuner also drank a cup. Perhaps it was the first time, so it was a little bitter. After drinking a few more mouthfuls, one would slowly feel that it was a little sweet. "Daodu, drink a few more mouthfuls," Zhao Yuner said. Daodu frowned and obediently drank 2 more mouthfuls. "Mother, does it seem to be too bitter?" "Haha, of course. Later Mother will add a bit of honey for you. It will be sweet." Drinking more of this is good for you. Didn't Daodu say that he couldn't take his shit down these few days? After drinking it he will be able to take it down." "Really? Then Daodu should drink more." When Mu Lianfeng heard this, he also picked up the cup on the table and drank a cup. Actually, he had been having a hard time taking his shit recently. In the past, when he was in the Crown Prince's residence, he always ate bland food. Once he ate too much oily food he would become like this. At Zhao Yuner's place, everything he ate was arranged by Zhao Yuner, so he couldn't say anything. In addition, the food made by Zhao Yuner was really delicious, so he couldn't help but eat more. After eating too much, there was an obstacle in taking a shit. He was too embarrassed to tell Zhao Yuner about this. After all, it was inappropriate for a man to say such things to a woman. Mu Lianfeng had never drunk tea before. This was his first time drinking it and he felt that the taste of the tea was very strange. It was bitter at first, then sweet. After a while, there was a refreshing feeling in his mouth. Mu Lianfeng asked curiously, "Miss Yuner, you said that this is tea made from leaves. I've never tasted this before. Tastes really good. I don't know where you got it, but if you buy it, it shouldn't be cheap, right?" "This is tea. It's a kind of leaf. I picked it from the mountains myself. I took it back and stir-fried it in a pot. Then I ran it out with water so I didn't spend a single cent. Does young Master Mu like to drink it?" Mu Lianfeng smiled and nodded. "I feel that the taste is quite strange. After drinking it I feel better." Haha, drinking tea has the effect of refreshing the mind. Can also clear the intestines. Drinking more is good for the body. Zhao Yuner began to introduce the effects of the tea. Zhao Yuner was curious why no one in this era drank tea. Could it be that no one knew that this thing could be drunk like this?
Sounds like this tea is really good stuff. I haven't even seen it in the palace. I didn't expect to be able to drink such good stuff here at Miss Yun'er's place. Zhao Yun'er was amused by Mu Lianfeng. Good stuff. I guess so. Things were precious when they were rare, especially this kind of thing that no one had seen before. Chapter 307. Putting aside whether people would buy it or not, the production cost of tea leaves was still relatively high. Picking tea leaves on the mountain could only bring back a little at a time. If she called people to go together, she could get more. The problem was that there were not many people in the entire village who dared to go up the mountain. It would take her a lot of time to pick a basket of tea leaves. With so many dried tea leaves, it would probably only weigh 1 caddy. There were not many new leaves picked from the other large tea forest. Calculating the time cost, 1 caddy of tea leaves would not be worth 1 tael of silver. However, 1 tael of silver for 1 caddy of tea leaves was probably something that most people in ancient times could not afford. 1 tael of silver was enough for an ordinary family to spend for half a year. If one was not rich, who would be willing to spend money on this? Therefore, if she took it out to sell, the market potential was not big. In addition, she did not know any rich people. If she wanted to promote the tea leaves, she had to have the connections. She could not do this at the moment. It was better to wait for the future. Zhao Yun'er smiled and said to Mu Lianfeng, "If young Master Mu likes it, I'll prepare some for you when you go back. I still have a lot at home." "How can I do that? I've troubled Miss Yun'er enough during this period." "It's okay. It's not anything good." Speaking of Mu Lianfeng's return, Zhao Yun'er told Mu Lianfeng about her encounter with Helian Chen in Yang City today. She also asked when Mu Lianfeng was going to return to the heir apparent's residence. Although Mu Lianfeng was injured, it was not that he could not move. Now that she had a little donkey, it was fine to send Mu Lianfeng back to the heir apparent's residence. Mu Lianfeng did not mention returning to the heir apparent's residence. Zhao Yun'er could not say much, afraid that Mu Lianfeng would misunderstand that she was disdaining him and chasing him away. "Young Master Mu, the people in the heir apparent's residence seem to be very worried about your safety. They are the same as young Master Helian. Do you really not need to tell them?" Mu Lianfeng pondered for a while. He knew that the people in the Shitzi estate were very anxious, but he was reluctant to leave Zhao Yun'er's place like this. "Let's wait a few more days. It's better if we don't tell them." Zhao Yun'er thought that Mu Lianfeng had some plans in mind, so she didn't say much. In the afternoon, Zhao Yun'er gave the money from selling the bullfrog to Auntie Lu. She also got some green onions from Auntie Lu's house and took them back to plant. This kind of shallot would be more fragrant when sprinkled into the dishes. If he needed to plant some spring onions, he could cut them up at any time. Although the vegetable garden was small, it didn't take much space to grow spring onions. After planting it, Zhao Yun'er covered it with some plant ash. She estimated that it would grow back in about 10 days. "Yun'er girl," a voice came from behind her. Zhao Yun'er turned around and saw his uncle Zhao Wenshi. Zhao Wenshi had a smile on his face and his attitude towards Zhao Yun'er seemed to be somewhat warm. Zhao Yun'er frowned. She didn't have a good impression of this uncle of hers. After all, he was involved in the plan to sell her for 200 taels of silver. "Uncle, why are you looking for me?" Zhao Yun'er's tone was indifferent. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er seemed to be too lazy to pay attention to him, Zhao Wenshi smiled a little embarrassedly. "Yun'er girl, did you return the things that young Master Meng gave you?" Chapter 308. Fortunately, he had sent the item back to young Master Meng. Otherwise, after old Zhao's people had this idea, he didn't know what kind of tricks they would play behind his back and do some sneaky things. "I just returned it today." "What's the matter, eldest uncle? Why are you suddenly asking about it?" "Actually, it's nothing much. I was originally thinking that if you didn't return it, could I borrow 20 taels of silver from you? You also know that your eldest cousin brother is going to the capital and the expenses there are not small. When your eldest cousin brother passes the provincial examination, our old Zhao's family will have a meteoric rise. In the future, your eldest cousin brother will definitely be thinking of borrowing money from you." Zhao Yun'er's lips curled into a sneer. So this was what he was thinking. How ridiculous. She really didn't know how Zhao Wenshi could say such words. Or was it that old Zhao's family members were too thick-skinned? Anyway, they had the nerve to ask for anything. "Eldest uncle, even if I didn't return it to young Master Meng, you can't borrow money from me. You can just ask grandfather for the 20 taels of silver. The money from selling me shouldn't have been spent so quickly, right?"
After being ridiculed by Zhao Yun, Zhao Wenshi inevitably felt a little embarrassed. Before Zhao Wenshi could say anything, Zhao Yun continued, "Also, eldest uncle, if eldest cousin really does have a meteoric rise in the future, then your family should really thank me. After all, without me, eldest cousin might not be able to study." Zhao Wenshi couldn't refute Zhao Yun's words. But there was nothing he could do about it. After all, what Zhao Yun said was the truth. Zhao Yun didn't bother with Zhao Wenshi anymore. She picked up the shovel on the ground and was about to enter the house when Zhao Wenshi called out to Zhao Yun. "Yun, there's one more thing I need to trouble you with." Zhao Yun did not intend to help, but she wanted to hear what Zhao Wenshi had to say and see how shameless Zhao Wenshi was. "Uncle, go ahead. I heard that your family bought a donkey. Yun, your eldest cousin brother and your fifth uncle are going to town tomorrow afternoon. Can you give them a ride with your donkey?" The sneer on Zhao Yun's lips deepened. He was really shameless. "Uncle, you're really not afraid of troubling people. Yun, you have a little donkey at home anyway. It's fine to send it there for a while. It would be a waste to leave it at home and not use it. Your eldest cousin brother's health is not good, so he can't walk that far. There isn't an ox cart in town, so we can only trouble you." "Uncle, it's my business whether or not my donkey is a waste. It was bought with money, so I treasure it. It's more than 10 miles to town. If 3 people sit on it, aren't you afraid that my donkey will break?" Xiao Mao seemed to have heard her voice. It understood her words and raised its head to bark twice. "Uncle, look, my family." Xiao Mao also agreed with me. "It's not willing to pull." Zhao Wenshi did not expect Zhao Yun to be so difficult to talk to. He felt that Zhao Yun had changed a lot compared to before. "You little girl, how could it break your family's donkey? Didn't you buy it to pull people? Otherwise, why did you buy it? Yun, your eldest cousin brother can't stand being tired. If he walks more than 10 miles, he'll be exhausted and won't have the energy to study. He's going to take the provincial examination." Zhao Wenshi persuaded again. "Uncle, what are you saying? You make it sound like eldest cousin brother is a good for nothing other than studying." Chapter 309. You. Zhao Wenshi stared at Zhao Yun in anger. "What are you talking about? Your older cousin isn't a good for nothing. He's going to be a government official in the future. He won't be able to walk so much like ordinary people. If you don't want to give it to him, just tell him. How can you criticize him like this?" Seeing Zhao Wenshi being annoyed by her, Zhao Yun felt happy. "Uncle, it's wrong of you to ask for help. Even if I want to give it to him, I don't want to give it to him anymore." "You?" Zhao Wenshi waved his sleeves and walked away in anger. He didn't get any benefits from coming to Zhao Yun's place. Instead, he was full of anger. Seeing Zhao Wenshi walking away, Zhao Yun smiled. Old Zhao's family was really shameless. She naturally wouldn't listen to them. If she got used to it, they would often come to torment her in the future. After Zhao Yun finished her work in the vegetable field, she went to get some small green grass. She brought it to Xiao Mao and fed it. "Come on, Xiao Mao. You've been working hard every day. Eat more so that you can grow up. It won't be so hard to take care of people in the future." Xiao Mao seemed to understand. It stuck out its tongue and rolled the green grass in Zhao Yun's hand into its mouth. Seeing that Xiao Mao finished eating, Zhao Yun rubbed its head and said to it, "Xiao Mao is so obedient." Woof woof woof. Xiao He saw the interaction between Zhao Yun and Zhao Yun and barked at Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun lowered her head and saw the jealousy in Xiao He's eyes. She smiled and rubbed Xiao He's head. "Xiao He, are you unhappy? Did you not have a good lunch today? I'll cook fish soup for you tomorrow, okay?" Little He seemed to understand Zhao Yun's words. It rubbed against Zhao Yun's feet a few times before it stopped making a fuss. Zhao Yun was also amused by Little Black. She thought that Little Black and Little Mao were really weird. They were smarter than humans. There was nothing else to do in the afternoon, so Zhao Yun tidied up the house. She swept the front of the house clean, loosened the soil in the vegetable garden, and pulled out the weeds. Looking at the empty space in front of the house, Zhao Yun thought about going back to the mountain to get some wildflowers and plant them in the yard. It would be very beautiful when they bloomed. After Zhao Wenshi left for a while, Zhao Yun thought that the matter of sending Zhao Wenshi to town had been put to rest. However, she did not expect that Zhao Wenshi would not give up. This time he was smart enough to send Xin Pan instead of himself. Xin Pan held Zhao Yangyang's hand and walked over unhurriedly. However, when she came over, she did not immediately talk about sending her little donkey away. Instead, she started chatting with Zhao Yun. "Yun, I haven't been here for a while. Now that I see that your family is living better and better, it's different from before. Zhao Yuner smiled. Life will change. How can it be the same as before? As long as you work hard, your life will get better and better. Xin Pan also smiled. Her smile was gentle and was different from the ordinary women in the countryside. You're right. As long as you work hard, your life will get better and better. Now that your family has bought a little donkey, it must be worth at least 2 taels of silver, right? Yes. You've saved up 2 taels of silver in such a short time. That's amazing. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.